Chapter 468. Master Level Sword Intent. Li Xiaoyun suddenly stood up, his face full of shock. Jing Aoshuan looked at the sword intent radiance in a daze, then let out a breath and said, judging from this aspect alone, he is definitely the number one since the ancient times. In the peak era, all kinds of body types have appeared. Now, it is time for the soul and will geniuses to appear. Every time the peak era arrived, the warriors in the continent would have a feast for their eyes, because all kinds of talents that had appeared in the history would appear one after another. For example, the elemental spirit body, the evil spirit body, and the talent in will like Yi Chen. It was said that there were also many other talents that were not inferior to the others, such as the innate great Dharma body, which was rarely seen in 100,000 years. People with such Dharma bodies would have Zhen Yuan 10 times or even dozens of times more than ordinary people. As long as these people did not die, their achievements would be shocking. The peak era, the competition has never been so intense. Li Xiaoyun's eyes were filled with passion. That kind of passion was something that ordinary people could not describe. They did not understand the feeling of standing at the peak. Jing Aoshuan, originally, I only wanted to exchange pointers with you. There was no need for a winner or loser. But now, I've changed my mind. You, me, and the two of them, we need to have a winner or loser. Only a winner or loser can make all of us improve. Exchanging pointers will not solve any big problems. Jing Aoshuan said lightly, this is also what I wanted to say. In the future competition among the geniuses of the continent, only one person can stand at the peak and look down on the whole world. Boom. While the two were talking, Chu Zhongtian threw out his most powerful attack toward Yi Chen. It was still the tyrant dragon destruction, but it was twice as powerful as before. The dark red demonic dragon Qi almost shattered the void as it slashed down. Sky Thunder Cut. Reverse Sky Thunder Cut. The light on Yi Chen's forehead did not dissipate as he held the Thunder Sword in his left hand and the Destruction Sword in his right hand. The two swords slashed toward the same point, crisscrossing and bursting out. A dreamy sword intent radiance shot out like a silver galaxy in the sky, deep and unshakable. Rumble. This time, the two of them were fighting at an altitude of 10,000 meters. Destructive energy shockwaves radiated out, creating a mottled light ball with a diameter of several tens of meters. The light ball rapidly expanded in a spiral shape, and soon became several miles in size. Finally, it exploded, shaking the world and causing the air to flow more than 1,000 times faster. Evil spirit body is also several times stronger than ordinary people. You can't hurt me. Chu Zhongtian was sent flying. His face was filled with shock at first, and then he roared in anger. He didn't expect that Yi Chen's battle prowess would rise to such an extent. Not only did Yi Chen suppress him, but he also sent him flying again. This was something he didn't expect at all. If one time isn't enough, then 10 times. Yi Chen only took half a step back. After that, he turned around and rushed forward, displaying the twin sword style once again. Clang! The intersecting sword light exploded in front of Chu Zhongtian, and the dark red rapier almost flew out of his hand. This attack made Chu Zhongtian fly back even faster. Every time a circular shockwave appeared around his body, his flying speed would increase by 1-fold. 3 times, which meant 3 times the speed of sound. This might be the fastest backward speed in a battle between astral-reaching realm experts. Damn it, stop right there. Chu Zhongtian's body shook violently, and the air behind him exploded. The resulting explosive power cancelled out the power of flying back, and he seized the opportunity to stop himself from flying back. Shoo! Ignoring his boiling qi and blood, Chu Zhongtian's evil yuan exploded, dodging Yi Chen's third attack. Such a fast speed. This time, Yi Chen was a bit surprised. It seemed like the evil yuan had not only increased Chu Zhongtian's battle prowess, but it had also increased his defense and speed to an unimaginable level. Even if he was very arrogant, Yi Chen wouldn't be able to beat him quickly. No, it would be very difficult to beat him down. He was like a cockroach that couldn't be beaten. Fragmenting rapier. A fine dust appeared, and as Chu Zhongtian dodged, he threw out a rapier attack at Yi Chen. Chin. The thunder sword in his left hand sliced out in the opposite direction, and Yi Chen blocked out Chu Zhongtian's attack. He even sent a part of the energy back, giving him a taste of his own medicine. Hee hee. Chu Zhongtian sneered as he formed a fist with his left hand and punched out, shattering the energy wave. Down below, Tuor Buku mumbled to himself, this battle is not going to be that easy to decide. He naturally knew that Yi Chen was more powerful, but it didn't mean that Chu Zhongtian was like a fish on a chopping board, waiting to be slaughtered. The difference between the two was only a thin line. Plus, Chu Zhongtian's speed and defense were so freakish, which cancelled out Yi Chen's advantage. The others were thinking the same thing as Tuor Buku. In fact, when Yi Chen exploded with his master-level sword intent, it was what shocked them the most, and they would never be able to forget it. Chin 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 chin, the two exchanged blows in the sky, and the sparks from the collision of their weapons never stopped. Whenever one side lit up, the other side would appear as well. Perhaps, only by directly hitting his body would I be able to wound him. After forcing back Chu Zhongtian with one sword attack, Yi Chen thought to himself. You are able to raise your sword intense power to master level, which is indeed very powerful. Even I have to admire you. But, with the evil spirit body, I am unbeatable. Even two of you together would not be enough. Chu Zhongtian had already understood that wanting to beat Yi Chen beautifully was just a pipe dream. Right now, the only thing he could do was to exhaust his opponent's power and use a prolonged battle to defeat him. Is that so? Yi Chen glanced at the corner of his eyes, and his figure instantly appeared on the right side of Chu Zhongtian. The light he brought up was like a sword light, giving people the illusion that he was using his body to perform a sword art. What kind of step art is this? Chu Zhongtian was caught off guard as he hurried to raise his rapier to block. Clang, 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 clang. Yi Chen attacked 64 times, and 3 of them broke through Chu Zhongtian's defense, landing on his shoulder, chest, and arm. The sound of clothes tearing rang out as Chu Zhongtian retreated with a gloomy face. Using the body as a sword, is this the unity of man and sword? Jing Aoshuan was a little confused. Li Xiaoyun shook his head. No, an ordinary unity of man and sword would not be able to move as freely as this. This is still a sword art, but he has turned himself into a sword art. However, the unity of man and sword is about the inseparability of man and sword. There is a subtle difference between the two. Whether it was the unity of man and sword or not, or he had turned himself into a sword, Chu Zhongtian was very passive. After all, Yi Chen's sword art was already very powerful, and now, even his step art was a sword art. His reaction was inevitably a beat slower, and he could not grasp the initiative. Kai. The clothes on his back were torn open as Chu Zhongtian hurried to turn around and wave his rapier. No, normal attacks would not be able to do anything to him. I have to land a killing attack. The rapier shadow brushed past his chest. Yi Chen lifted up his left hand and flicked his finger. Boom. The dark red rapier in his hand was blown away, and the sword qi spread out. Chu Zhongtian knew that it was not good, since he had forgotten that Yi Chen's fingers could also release sword qi. Moreover, it was even more powerful than normal sword qi, almost as powerful as an ace attack. Cut. Seizing the opportunity, Yi Chen's speed exploded. His 2 swords, one in front and the other in the back, attacked out. Impossible. Chu Zhongtian threw out his left fist. A metal exploding sound was heard as the sword light on Chu Zhongtian's fist sliced through, leaving behind 2 intersecting white marks. Burning sparks shot out everywhere, covering more than 1 mile. Meanwhile, Chu Zhongtian's feet felt weak, and he was blown away. A battle of this level has already surpassed my imagination. I simply can't imagine how an astral-reaching expert could possess such a frightening battle power. Yeah, Astral Spirit Sun has the Astral Spirit Body, which boosts his battle power and defense. No wonder he could kill a spirit warrior. Yi Chen is even more frightening. He has already displayed the sharpness of a sword artist to the extreme. Astral Spirit Sun can't have an easy time against him, and is completely suppressed. This is a peak confrontation, a battle of the highest level among the young generation of Southern Sector. On the platform, everyone was extremely excited. Their eyes were unblinkingly watching the battle in the sky, although they couldn't see the actual content of the battle. Dark Flame Annihilation Wave. Being forced into a corner by Yi Chen, Chu Zhongtian used the Dark Flame Annihilation Wave, which had the widest range but was slightly inferior in single-target attacks. With a swing of the mace, a dark red radiance shot out in a fan shape, soaring into the sky and submerging Yi Chen within. Those with good eyesight could see a gap in the fan shape. Faintly, one could see a human figure standing there with two swords crossed, repelling the dark red radiance. Tyrant Dragon Mace Destruction. Seizing the upper hand for the first time, Chu Zhongtian flew into the dark red radiance, which had yet to dissipate. His mace descended from the sky and fiercely chopped down. A dragon roar resounded in the sky, and the dark red demonic dragon chi flow wreaked havoc. However, the next moment, the demonic dragon chi flow was decapitated, and the blue-robed Yi Chen rushed out, sweeping his sword horizontally, scattering a crescent moon-like sword light. Truly repulsive. Chu Zhongtian had already used up all of his power, so he had no choice but to raise his mace to block and back out. Not good. I can only perform the 9th movement of the Green Lotus sword arts. Only the 9th movement can open a gap in his defense and create an opportunity. With that thought, Yi Chen put away his Thunder Sword and Destruction Sword, and the Greenwood Sword bounced out. The Greenwood Sword shone with a soft blue light. Within the light, there seemed to be countless plants growing, full of vitality. Carrying the Greenwood Sword, Yi Chen chased after Chu Zhongtian. The Greenwood Sword twirled in his hand, and then stabbed out, close to nature. The 9th movement of the Green Lotus sword arts. Life, life, life. Chu Zhongtian opened his eyes wide, watching the sword light enlarge in front of his eyes. That sword attack was so mysterious. It did not seem to be a sword art, but the process of plants growing. Under this sword attack that seemed to be in harmony with nature, Chu Zhongtian realized that no matter how hard he tried to dodge, he would not be able to avoid it. 50%. Jing Aoshuan, who was watching from below, could not help but blurt out. Before comprehending the profound, one could only comprehend a 50% profound martial art at most. However, Yi Chen's sword attack had obviously reached the critical point. In other words, with one more step, Yi Chen would be able to comprehend a bit of the wood profound. At that time, the realm would be completely different. Since I can't dodge it, then there is no need to dodge. Chu Zhongtian roared, holding the dark red rapier in his hand and attacking with all of his power. Pooh! The sword and rapier clashed. Chu Zhongtian's power was shattered the moment it touched the rapier, and his hand started to bleed. Meanwhile, Yi Chen's sword attack seemed to have endless power. It seemed to be unstoppable. This sword attack was even more horrifying than the double sword attack. Chapter 469. The sword turned into a beam of light and shot out of Chu Zhongtian's hand. Blue veins popped out on his face as he pushed his evil yuan to its limit. In the next second, the dark red chi flow burst out with a light even brighter than the sun. There were even beams of red light shooting out, attacking in all directions. However, Yi Chen, who had thrown out this sword attack, had a powerful sword chi which was shapeless and formless. As long as there was a beam of red light coming towards it, it would be bounced off and shattered. Crack. Pooh. The greenwood sword stabbed on the dark red protective evil yuan, creating a teeth-aching sound of metal rubbing against each other. In the next second, the protective layer was pierced through. Yi Chen was expressionless as he waved the long sword in his hand, not only tearing apart Chu Zhongtian's protective Jin Yuan, but also cutting off his left arm. In his sight, Chu Zhongtian was left wide open without any protection. A scene that could be regarded as a classic by many sword artists happened. Yi Chen put the greenwood sword back into the scabbard at his waist. At the same time, he took out the destruction sword and held the thunder sword with his left hand as well. The whole series of movements were completed in the blink of an eye, so fast that it created countless afterimages. Sky Thunder Cut, Reverse Sky Thunder Cut. Holding his breath, Yi Chen's eyes shone brightly. Two beams of sword light intertwined and exploded in a cross shape, landing heavily on Chu Zhongtian's chest. Swoosh! Blood splashed out from the cross shape. Chu Zhongtian had been wounded. His whole body was pushed back to the stage by the power of the two sword attacks. The wind pressure generated was like a storm with a force of 10 degrees. The sound of people taking in cold breaths was heard one after another. Chu Zhongtian has lost. Even with such a powerful defense, he was still defeated. I am afraid only a sword artist like Yi Chen can beat Chu Zhongtian. If it were someone else with similar power, they might not be able to do anything to Chu Zhongtian. Our southern sector has never had a young swordsman, but this time, we finally have one, and he is definitely the best. Listening to the discussion of the crowd, Chu Zhongtian's expression was quite ugly. He had lost, and it was the first time he had lost to a member of the younger generation. It seemed that his opponent was a few years younger than him, at most 22 years old, but his experience was definitely not that of a 22-year-old. He lowered his head and looked at his chest. It was dripping with blood, and a cross-shaped wound had appeared on it. The wound at the intersection was the deepest, almost splitting his sternum. Shame. Absolute humiliation. Evil spirit body was different from ordinary physiques. The scars on the body would not disappear before reaching the life and death realm. These scars would always accompany him. Boom. A violent dark red chi flow shot up into the sky. Chu Zhongtian wanted to battle with Yi Chen again. Chu Zhongtian, you've lost. This match is over. Jing Aoshuan stepped forward to stop him. Chu Zhongtian glared at Jing Aoshuan. You can't stop me. Jing Aoshuan said indifferently, the martial tea gathering is not a place to decide life and death. Losing one move is still a loss. I hope you can abide by the rules. For me, there must be a real winner in a battle. Get out of my way. Chu Zhongtian took one step forward, and a fierce dark red chi flow shot out. Jing Aoshuan did not continue to speak. Thunder flashed in front of her eyes, and the thunder was extremely violent. In the next second, a wave of dark blue chi flow shot up into the sky. It contained an extremely horrifying martial will, directly tearing apart the sky. The two chi flows clashed together, each occupying half of the sky. Thunder Princess Jing Aoshuan used her actions to tell Chu Zhongtian whose home field this was. Everyone tried their best to defend against the two chi flows as they exclaimed. Martial spirit, martial intent, and this Zhen Yuan, it doesn't seem to be any weaker than Chu Zhongtian's evil Yuan. Could she have already trained her top-rank Earth Realm martial art to the 14th level? No, I'm afraid it's the highest level, the 15th level. I've long heard that Princess Jing has the Thunder Spirit body, and her speed of training Thunder Element Zhen Yuan is several times faster than ordinary people. Now that I see it, it seems to be true. Although the Zhen Yuan trained by the Element Spirit body was not as good as the evil Yuan of the Evil Spirit body, there was one thing that the Evil Spirit body could not compare with, which was the speed of training the corresponding Zhen Yuan. Others might only be able to increase their martial arts by one level in a few years, but the Element Spirit body could increase it by 3 or even 4 levels, which led to the Spirit body being able to train the top-rank Earth Realm martial arts to the highest level faster. Without a doubt, in terms of martial arts training, Jing Aoshuan had already walked ahead of everyone else. She had even condensed a real martial spirit. Yi Chen, who had landed on the stage, was not surprised at this scene. If Jing Aoshuan did not have some ability, she would not be able to become the host of this tea gathering. Of course, he could also tell that Chu Zhongtian's evil Yuan was actually stronger than Jing Aoshuan's Zhen Yuan, even if it was enhanced with the martial spirit martial intent. But, one should not forget that Jing Aoshuan's speed of training Thunder Element Zhen Yuan was fast, and her speed of comprehending Thunder Mentality and Thunder Profound was also fast. This was something that Chu Zhongtian could not compete with. Chu Zhongtian had obviously thought of this as well. Not to mention the fact that he had consumed a lot of energy and only had 80 to 90% of his battle strength left. Even at his peak, he might not be able to defeat Jing Aoshuan. She was an expert at the same level as him, and without a life and death battle, it would be hard to tell who was stronger and who was weaker. Withdrawing his evil Yuan, Chu Zhongtian turned around and walked back to his seat while saying, "All right, I'll give you, Jing Aoshuan, some face." Jing Aoshuan also withdrew her Zhen Yuan and secretly let out a breath. She was really worried that Chu Zhongtian would do something irrational. Once he flipped out, she was afraid that she would need to gather the power of Yi Chen, Li Xiaoyun, and herself to suppress him. After all, defeating and suppressing were two different things. Chu Zhongtian was the kind of person who could not be beaten down, and it could be seen from the fact that he only bled a little after receiving a killing move from Yi Chen. However, Chu Zhongtian's concession had made her think more highly of him. The untamable nature of the evil spirit body was something that had been known since the ancient times. Once they had made up their mind, it would be hard to stop them. Turning around, Jing Aoshuan nodded at Yi Chen. From her eyes, it was easy to tell that she had already considered Yi Chen as someone at the same level as her. Then, I will go rest now. Yi Chen held his fists together and returned to his seat. Yi Chen won. Yi Chen had actually beaten the true dragon realm astral spirit sun. Our South Rudra region has been pushed to the heart of the storm. We have to work even harder when we get back, so that we won't be looked down upon by others. Among the 17 warriors from the South Rudra region, some of them were the top warriors in this year's Hidden Dragon rank, so they were discussing secretly. Not only the South Rudra region, but also the young warriors from the other regions were watching Yi Chen. Their eyes were filled with passion, jealousy, and admiration. It was extremely complicated. In the pavilion, Tuor Ku forced a smile. I did not expect that the astral spirit sun with the evil spirit body would lose to you. I guess you can even be called the #1 warrior of the southern Rudra region. Yi Chen shook his head and smiled. Don't look down on Chu Zhongtian. Seriously speaking, his strength is more or less the same as mine. Defense is also a part of strength. If we were to have a battle of life and death, I would not have the confidence to win. As for the #1 warrior of the southern Rudra region, you are underestimating Jing Aoshuan and Li Xiaoyun too much. They might not be able to beat Chu Zhongtian, but they might not lose to me either. The path of cultivation is too unpredictable. Tuor Ku nodded. He knew that what Yi Chen said was right. But, no matter what, among the young warriors of the southern Rudra region, there was almost no one who could beat Yi Chen. Li Xiaoyun, it is our turn to fight. Without returning to her seat, Jing Aoshuan looked at Edict Prince Li Xiaoyun. Of course. Opening his silver fan, Li Xiaoyun flashed onto the stage. The battle between Jing Aoshuan and Li Xiaoyun was definitely not inferior to the battle between Yi Chen and Chu Zhongtian. The shockwaves coming from the stage never stopped. Jing Aoshuan's martial arts had already been trained to the highest level, the 15th level. Her Zhen Yuan was extremely pure, and she had also condensed a real martial spirit. Combined with her thunder profound martial arts, each of her movements was extremely aggressive, possessing the will and style of thunder. Li Xiaoyun's martial arts were at the 14th level, so his Zhen Yuan purity was slightly lower than Jing Aoshuan's. However, in terms of willpower, he was only below Yi Chen's. He had actually condensed a quasi-master level martial spirit. Moreover, he had trained a lot of profound martial arts, probably the most out of everyone present. He had 3 wind profound martial arts and 2 starlight profound martial arts. In addition, there was a mysterious power sealed in both of his hands. Every time this mysterious power exploded, it would be able to dissolve Jing Aoshuan's attacks. Boom! The Zhen Yuan wall in front of the pavilion was shattered, and the fist wind was about to reach. Yi Chen flicked out a green lotus sword chi, shattering the fist wind. What a horrifying thunder profound martial art, Tuor Buku said. This time, the Zhen Yuan wall shattering was completely an accident. After all, the shockwave alone would not be able to shatter Tuor Buku's defense. But, it was not the shockwave that had shattered the Zhen Yuan wall, but Jing Aoshuan's real attack. It turned out that Edict Prince Li Xiaoyun had dodged Jing Aoshuan's attack, which had caused the fist wind to travel all the way. Fortunately, the fist wind had already exhausted its power. Otherwise, it would not have been something that a green lotus sword chi could shatter. A 50% mastery thunder profound martial skill is indeed extraordinary. Yi Chen himself had also trained the thunder mentality, so he could naturally see Jing Aoshuan's achievement in the thunder profound martial art. In fact, the thunder spirit body combined with the thunder profound martial art would give her an advantage over normal people. On the stage, Jing Aoshuan and Li Xiaoyun shot up into the sky. Boom! Boom! Thunder flickered in the sky, and the entire dark cloud turned into Jing Aoshuan's support. Li Xiaoyun was not going to pass on the responsibility. The wind profound martial art could always blow away the dark clouds and the thunder, while the Starlight Profound martial art had an unimaginable penetrative power. Extreme Emperor World Shocking Fist Art. Jing Aoshuan performed a fist art that was even more horrifying than the Extreme Emperor World Tyrannical Fist Art. The vibrating thunder light was like an angry dragon as it rushed out. Break. The iron fan in Li Xiaoyun's hand danced in the sky as he performed an extremely powerful wind profound martial art as well, shattering Jing Aoshuan's attack. This battle lasted until dusk. Both sides were still evenly matched. Although they were physically exhausted, their mental state was obviously more vigorous than before. It was the fighting spirit that came from being fully focused. After another 1,000 attacks, Li Xiaoyun stopped his attacks and laughed. It seems like half a day is not enough. The tea gathering will end in the morning. Jing Aoshuan nodded. Let's call it a draw. It was not that the two did not want to have a winner. In fact, they were clear that when they were exhausted, it would be the best time to do so. However, time obviously did not allow it. After all, they were not the finale, and they still had to fight with Chu Zhongtian and Yi Chen. As for who to choose, it would be decided by drawing lots. If they drew Chu Zhongtian, they would not be able to fight with Yi Chen. That was something that could not be helped. They could only choose one out of the two, even if it was Chu Zhongtian or Yi Chen. Chapter 470. The sunlight crystal pillar in the beautiful garden had already lit up, its radiance lighting up the entire garden and the platform as if it were daytime. Inside the pavilion, the crowd was in a heated discussion. Princess Jing and Edict Prince are evenly matched. I wonder if there will be a winner in the next two matches. Difficult. Chu Zhongtian's defense is absolutely abnormal, while Princess Jing's attacks are as fast as thunder. Edict Prince is as ethereal as the wind, while Yi Chen's sword art is unfathomable. If we are talking about the chances of winning, I would choose Yi Chen. After all, he is unfathomable. Unfathomable means unfathomable. That makes sense. But, I feel like Edict Prince should be the winner. He has a lot of profound martial arts. Drawing lots was very simple. There were 4 wooden lots, 2 red and 2 blue. The red ones would fight with the red ones, and the blue ones would fight with the blue ones. Spirit power was not allowed, and if one used it, the others would be able to sense it. As for Yi Chen, he did not think of using his soul power to cheat. For him, it was the same no matter who he fought. Yi Chen drew a red lot, and so did Edict Prince Li Xiaoyun. Hihi, my luck is not bad. Compared to Chu Zhongtian, Li Xiaoyun preferred to fight with Yi Chen. It was not because Chu Zhongtian was weak. On the contrary, Chu Zhongtian's defense was too strong. No matter how many profound martial arts he had, he would not be able to gain the upper hand. Therefore, it was better to fight with Yi Chen. Jing Aoshuan and Chu Zhongtian's match began first. The two had already competed in terms of Jin Yuan and martial willpower. Jing Aoshuan was slightly weaker, but if they were to fight for real, they would be evenly matched. Jing Aoshuan's comprehension of profound sense martial arts was higher than Chu Zhongtian's. Dark Flame Annihilation Wave. The battle had reached its climax. Chu Zhongtian had performed his wide-ranged profound sense martial art, which was a bit weaker in terms of single-target attacks. The dark red energy wave drowned Jing Aoshuan within a second. Peng! The energy wave exploded. Jing Aoshuan went against the current and punched at Chu Zhongtian with her right fist that carried endless lightning. Chu Zhongtian's tyrant dragon truncheon of destruction was just completed, and he met it head-on. An earth-shattering explosion shook the entire sky above Thunder City. 2 figures were sent flying backwards. Between them was a rapidly expanding dark light that devoured the darkness. Energy blade slash. Chu Zhongtian's vital spirit was indeed powerful. In terms of dispelling negative influences, it was stronger than Jing Aoshuan's. Therefore, even though he was in a reversed state, he could still use a small part of his vital spirit to launch a large-scale ordinary attack on Jing Aoshuan. Kai Kai Kai. The dark red blade of airflow sliced through the void and enveloped Jing Aoshuan. Jing Aoshuan took a deep breath. As she inhaled, her body flashed with tyrannical thunder. Her zhanqi seemed to suddenly become active, forming a dark blue vortex outside her body. She clenched her right fist, and her middle finger protruded out as she punched. Extreme monarch tyrannical fist. The mighty fist wind destroyed countless incoming airflow blades and tore apart the dark light that was still expanding, forcing Chu Zhongtian to retreat another 100 steps. However, Chu Zhongtian had already activated his Great Spirit Shield. The fist wind collided with the Great Spirit Shield, and an ear-piercing sound of metal rubbing could be heard. However, there was no effect at all. This Yi Chen is really scary. Seeing this scene, Jing Aoshuan had to admit that in some aspects, she was inferior to Yi Chen. Since Yi Chen was able to defeat Chu Zhongtian, she thought that even if she couldn't defeat him, she would at least have the upper hand. However, imagination and reality were completely different. Chu Zhongtian was definitely not an easy opponent. His defense was strong, his attack was high, and his dodging was also high. If she didn't have the Thunder Spirit body, which could stimulate the activity of her body and make her reflexes far better than ordinary people, she might not be able to compete with Chu Zhongtian. She more or less knew that Yi Chen was not only strong in battle, but he was also an all-rounder and a genius with super adaptability. For example, there were also restraints between geniuses. Some people with similar strength would lose the battle because they were restrained. However, this problem basically didn't exist for Yi Chen. He wouldn't be at a disadvantage against anyone. If he wanted to attack, he could attack. If he wanted to dodge, he could dodge. If he wanted to use techniques, he could use techniques. All, in a one-on-one fight, Jing Aoshuan wasn't afraid of Yi Chen. In terms of battle adaptability, she was far behind Yi Chen. Yi Chen did not have any weaknesses. He was a flawless sword artist. Li Xiaoyun could also see that Jing Aoshuan couldn't do anything to Chu Zhongtian. Previously, Yi Chen had defeated Chu Zhongtian. He was very clear about what this meant. I really can't be careless at all. For the first time, Li Xiaoyun didn't have the confidence to win. Even when he was fighting against Jing Aoshuan, he thought that the final victory would belong to him as long as he had enough time. This wasn't confidence in strength, but confidence in character. Even if he couldn't win, he had to win. However, the battle between Jing Aoshuan and Chu Zhongtian made him understand that Yi Chen wasn't an ordinary person. Yi Chen didn't have any flaws, which could be seen from Chu Zhongtian's embarrassing look. Involuntarily, Li Xiaoyun turned his head and glanced at Yi Chen. Yi Chen had a deep look in his eyes as he watched the battle between Chu Zhongtian and Jing Aoshuan. To be exact, he was watching Jing Aoshuan. Her achievement in the thunder mentality was something he couldn't compete with. He had noticed the details, but the deeper level of the mentality was something he had yet to understand. She is indeed the Thunder Princess. She has already touched the edge of the Thunder Profound. She is only one step away. Yi Chen was secretly shocked. As long as Jing Aoshuan could learn a little bit of the Thunder Profound, no one here would be her opponent, including him. Of course, there were more areas where he could make breakthroughs, such as the Sword Spirit Embryo, the Green Lotus Sword Spell, and the Wood Mentality. Boom! In the sky, the Dark Chi Flow and the Black Thunder each took up half of the sky. The battle between the two was equally matched, and neither could do anything to the other. Jing Aoshuan took back her hand and stood in midair. I can't win. Chu Zhongtian made a face. I can't win you either. He was very depressed. It was fine that there was only one Yi Chen, but Jing Aoshuan was also very powerful. Adding Li Xiaoyun, who was at the same level as Jing Aoshuan, he couldn't win against any of the three. He had even lost to Yi Chen. Yi Chen, it is our turn. Li Xiaoyun made a gesture with his right hand. Waking up from his state of enlightenment, Yi Chen nodded. Shoo, shoo. The two did not waste any time and flew into the sky directly. Dancing Dragon Fan, Li Xiaoyun attacked first. A huge amount of wind yuan qi gathered, turning into a crystal-clear tornado, attacking towards Yi Chen. Shoo! The tornado was sliced open. It turned out that Yi Chen had already used his sword to counterattack before the tornado's power reached its peak. Powerful. Li Xiaoyun looked serious. He didn't have time to attack and immediately retreated. While retreating, he waved his iron fan and performed pear flower fan and sickle blade fan. The pear flower-shaped tornado and the sickle-like wind blade attacked Yi Chen from the left and right. Yi Chen was extremely calm. He teleported 7 steps back. These 7 steps were very clever. The tornado and the blade collided 3 steps in front of him, and the distance of 3 steps was the most powerful distance of the reverse sky thunder cut. The sword light rolled up, guiding the chaotic energy wave towards Li Xiaoyun. Li Xiaoyun's speed of retreat was not as fast as the energy wave. He waved his iron fan in the air and protected himself tightly. Boom, 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 boom. Qi power explosions sounded out continuously. Li Xiaoyun's qi and blood were slightly boiling. All of a sudden, Li Xiaoyun was like a light breeze. He had not only avoided the explosion of the energy wave, but had also teleported for dozens of steps. Right where he was standing, the cross-shaped sword light crossed over. It was Yi Chen's double sword flow. So close. A cold light flashed through his eyes. The iron fan in Li Xiaoyun's hand spun and shook. The Starlight Profound Sense martial art, Fan Dance 7-star kill, was thrown out. Without turning around, Yi Chen held the thunder sword with his left hand in a reverse grip. He only swung it backward. The twisted sword light sliced through the 7 cold stars, shattering his opponent's ace attack. At the same time, his feet sliced through the air, flying upside down in the air. He performed the 9th movement of the Green Lotus sword arts, Amaranthine Nature. Li Xiaoyun's pupils shrank to the size of a needle. He was very clear about the power of this sword attack. Even Chu Zhongtian had suffered a huge loss, being attacked by Yi Chen without any defensive power. If Li Xiaoyun was hit by this sword attack, he would basically lose for sure. I can't be hit. On Li Xiaoyun's right arm, sparkles of starlight appeared. The blood vessels inside had all turned transparent, visible to the naked eye. On the skin of his right arm, a circle of complicated light patterns appeared. They were very ancient, like stars, but also like the orbit of the stars. On the skin of Li Xiaoyun's left arm, a circle of light patterns appeared as well. It was like a whirlwind pattern, but it was less ancient and more aggressive. Wind barrier. Without any process of performing profound sense, Li Xiaoyun reached out his left hand. A wind wall appeared out of nowhere in front of him. The wind wall was mysterious, with a big whirlwind covering a small whirlwind, and a small whirlwind connecting a big whirlwind. It did not need any power to keep spinning until it was destroyed. Pooh! The wind wall was pierced through and torn apart. The 9th movement of the Green Lotus sword arts was not called Amaranthine Nature for nothing. Although the wind wall was self-sustaining, it could not compete with the destructive speed of Amaranthine Nature. It was an extremely horrifying sword attack. 7-star crossing. Li Xiaoyun knew that the wind barrier would not be able to stop Yi Chen, but it did not matter. His real target was the attack of his right hand. He rubbed his thumb, and the iron fan closed, looking like a bright silver iron ruler. The iron ruler was filled with a huge amount of Zhenyuan and starlight, and he waved it out. 1-star bead. 2-star beads. 3-star beads. According to the arrangement of the 7 stars of the Northern Dipper, star beads formed from Zhenyuan and starlight were born one after another. These star beads flickered with a bright light. Yi Chen frowned slightly. The 7 stars of the Northern Dipper in the sky above the True Spirit continent were not the same as the 7 stars of his world. They were the main stars of the Northern Dipper star region, and had a magnificent, mysterious power. Somehow, he knew that once the 7 stars were arranged, it would be a threat to him. Although he was not afraid of the threat, it would be more effective to destroy it before it was released. The greenwood sword vibrated, and the sword qi that had been waiting for a long time was spat out. Pop! The 6th star bead had just been born, but it was immediately destroyed by the sword qi. Then, the 5th, the 4th, the 3rd, so fast. Li Xiaoyun frowned even harder than Yi Chen's. Yi Chen's toughness was something he had experienced for himself. The latter would not give him any chance at all. His 7-star crossing, the 7-star beads were born at a lightning speed, but it still could not be arranged completely. The last star bead was destroyed, and Yi Chen's amaranthine nature was only left with a trace of power, which crashed onto Li Xiaoyun's protective Zhenyuan. His protective Zhenyuan was not broken, but Li Xiaoyun was blown back. Standing there with his sword in hand, Yi Chen did not chase after Li Xiaoyun. The sword tip pointed at the ground kept spitting out sword light like a poisonous snake. Chapter 471. Yi Chen, I have never admired anyone in terms of fighting skills, but today, I am impressed. However, with your ability, you might not be able to break the 7-star crossing. Li Xiaoyun admired Yi Chen a little bit. It was because of this that he knew that only the ultimate killing move, 7-star crossing, could pose a threat to him. The 7-star travel would require him to take out the star power that was sealed in his right arm, and the remaining star power would be able to perform it twice. But this time, he did not have to go through the process of unsealing it. Therefore, Li Xiaoyun was able to perform it even faster. The 7-star pearls flashed in the air. After the 7-star crossing was finished, it formed a subtle connection with the 7-star of the Big Dipper in the sky, continuously absorbing the power of the real 7-star of the Big Dipper to replenish itself. Immediately, bright starlight shone from the star beads, and a shocking scene happened. The space around the star beads turned dark, as if they had arrived in the starry sky, and only the 7-star of the Big Dipper was shining. Boom! The light of the 7-star crossing was released to the limit, carrying an ancient and eternal aura as it blasted towards Yi Chen. At that moment, time seemed to be flowing backward, and the stars were surging. What a dangerous killing move! Yi Chen's expression suddenly changed. His master-level sword intent burst out, and the indestructible sword intent light ignored the rules of the starry sky, shining with its own light, fighting against the lonely darkness. Seeing Li Xiaoyun even use the 7-star crossing, Jing Aoxuan's eyes flashed. She had experienced the power of this move deeply. Before, Li Xiaoyun had used it against her. Fortunately, she was a thunder spirit body, and she also cultivated Thunder Jin Yuan, which could not only stimulate her physical activity, but also stimulate her senses, preventing her from being lost in the darkness and losing the will to fight back. It should be known that in the starry sky, there were also thunder and lightning, and thunder would never retreat. She was the same. Apart from her, perhaps only Chu Zhongtian's evil spirit body and evil Yuan could fight against the 7-star crossing head-on. Lose. Li Xiaoyun stared at Yi Chen, who was swallowed by the 7-star. But then, his eyes widened. In his vision, Yi Chen hadn't been destroyed. The light radiating off of him contained an aura of deathlessness, and it was the darkness that was being destroyed. It was as if, in front of Yi Chen, other than himself, everything else would die. Only Yi Chen was eternal and indestructible. The strongest sword intent, the immortal sword intent. Break. With the protection of the immortal sword will, Yi Chen's eyes were clear. With the amaranthine nature, he pierced through 4 of the 7 stars. Then, his body spun, and the reverse sky thundercut swept upward, destroying the remaining 3 stars. At this point, the 7 stars crossing was destroyed. Who? A gentle breeze blew by, and Yi Chen reappeared in everyone's sight. He held the greenwood sword vertically in front of his chest, and the sword hilt was at the same level as his chin. The body of the sword was shining with an indestructible sword intent. Outside his body, the immortal aura spread out, and even the weak starlight in the sky was driven away. Moving his body, Yi Chen stabbed out with the greenwood sword in his hand. It was still the amaranthine nature, but this time, it contained the immortal sword intent. With the amaranthine nature and the immortal sword intent, there seemed to be a chemical reaction between the two. In terms of power, it was even more powerful than a 50% profound martial art. Wind barrier. Li Xiaoyun kept extracting the wind power that was sealed in his left arm, creating 3 wind walls in a row. The wind walls were shining with a crystal light, and were as hard as diamonds. 1 wall was broken, 2 were broken, and 3 were broken. Yi Chen's sword aura had been reduced by half. Chin. Putting the greenwood sword back into its scabbard, Yi Chen said, "I can't beat you." When he was breaking the wind walls, the wind power on Li Xiaoyun's left arm had already recovered to its peak state. It seemed like compared to his right arm, the sealed power in his left arm was easier to replenish, and there was no possibility of it running out. Li Xiaoyun forced a smile. "You are the first sword artist who has forced me into a passive state. Seriously speaking, I have lost." What he meant was that he had lost the sparring, But a life-and-death battle was another matter. The sky was filled with stars, and the night was about to end. Yi Chen and Li Xiaoyun both landed on the platform, while Jing Aoshuan and Chu Zhongtian stood there as well. The four of them each took a place, and it seemed like they had divided the platform into 4 different worlds. One was filled with endless thunder, one was filled with blood, one was filled with stars, and one was filled with sword qi. The 4 who represented the strongest of the southern region brought a strong visual impact to the audience. Jing Aoshuan raised her head to look at the starry sky and said, "This tea gathering was hosted by me, Jing Aoshuan. Judging from the process, it should be quite satisfactory. Now that the tea gathering is about to end, I will now announce the next host. I wonder who will be the host of the new tea gathering. Edict Prince has already hosted it, so the candidates should be Chu Zhongtian and Yi Chen. Yi Chen also defeated Chu Zhongtian, so I think it will most likely be Yi Chen. Yeah, that makes sense. The tea gathering was a gathering of the younger generation, so the host of each gathering would be chosen by the previous one. For example, the reason why Jing Aoshuan could be the host of this tea gathering was because of the Edict Prince's recommendation. Now, it was Jing Aoshuan's turn to choose the host. As expected, the person Jing Aoshuan chose was indeed Yi Chen. Although Yi Chen wasn't famous before, I believe that after this tea gathering, his name will spread throughout the entire southern region, even to other regions. Therefore, fame is not a problem. As for strength, everyone can see it for themselves. It has been a long time since such a powerful young sword artist has appeared in our southern region, and his sword intent is unparalleled. I believe no one has any objections, right? Hehe, Princess Jing must be joking. How could we have any objections? Who doesn't know Yi Chen's strength? No one dares to say that he doesn't deserve to be the next host of the tea gathering. I support Yi Chen, I support him as well. Seeing so many people supporting Yi Chen, Mu Lingfeng was very excited. If he had to describe Yi Chen in one word, it would be all-powerful. Xikong Sheng, who was wearing a black robe, was expressionless. His fists that were hidden in his sleeves were tightly clenched. This time, he had lost again, and didn't even manage to exchange blows with his opponent. He didn't know how powerful his opponent would be in the 4th battle. However, he would not give up. Setbacks would only make him fight even harder. Next time, he would enter with a higher status, and his target would be the first knight. The 6th and 7th knights glanced at Xikong Sheng and shook their heads silently. Having such an opponent was Xikong Sheng's misfortune, but it was also his fortune. Only with ambition would there be motivation. Chu Zhongtian sneered. He didn't care about being the host of the tea gathering, but it didn't mean that he didn't care about losing to others. Today's humiliation would be returned 10 times in the future. In the next tea gathering, he would defeat Yi Chen, who was the host of the tea gathering. That scene would be wonderful. Tuor Buku noticed Chu Zhongtian's expression and frowned slightly. This person should not be underestimated. After 2 years, who knew what level he would reach? His cultivation base was still at the late astral reaching realm, and he hadn't even reached the peak level yet. He didn't know how hard it was to train the evil Yuan, but even a tiny bit of progress would be horrifying. He couldn't help but start to worry about Yi Chen. All of a sudden, Tuor Buku smiled. Damn! Why am I worrying about Yi Chen? Of all people, I can't worry about him. Looking at his progress in the past few years, it could only be described as shocking. It would be hard to not be left behind by him. Wanting to surpass him would be extremely hard. In this world, who could be surpassed by Yi Chen, and could he even surpass him? Tuor Buku thought that it was funny and helpless. Jing Aoshuan nodded satisfactorily. Since everyone is supporting Yi Chen to be the host of the next tea gathering, then it's settled. She turned her head and asked Yi Chen, where will the next tea gathering be held? Yi Chen had already accepted his identity as the next host, so he said with a low voice, let's do it in the Black Dragon Empire in the South Rudra region. The South Rudra region was not like the Thunder region. There was no beautiful garden, and there was no Finger River stage, which was covered in restrictive power. Therefore, instead of choosing a place with a lot of people, it would be better to choose the mysterious mountain range, which had a wide terrain and endless gravity. The endless gravity there was like a natural restrictive power, which could better reflect one's power and adaptability. Mysterious mountain range. I've heard about it. Not bad. Li Xiaoyun nodded. Chu Zhongtian said lightly, I have no objections. All right, the next tea gathering will be held in the Black Dragon Empire in the South Rudra region. Please go back to your own regions and countries and spread the news as much as you can. Jing Aoshuan did her best. No problem. It sounds like the mysterious mountain range is not bad. Interesting. Before they knew it, the sky had turned bright. Jing Aoshuan took a deep breath and said, this tea gathering has come to a successful end. If you guys are not in a hurry, you can stay in the Thunder City for a few more days. Perhaps there will be other activities. Plus, you guys can also gather for a tea gathering and get to know each other better. Hearing her, everyone knew that the tea gathering had come to an end, but they were a bit reluctant. They had learned a lot from the tea gathering that lasted for 3 days and 3 nights, and they had even seen the top battles. It was an unforgettable experience for them, who were very proud. I really hope the next tea gathering can come soon. Let's wait. 2 years is not a long time. Closed-up training takes a couple of months. Everyone stood up and left the mountain river stage while chatting. On the stage, Li Xiaoyun smiled at Yi Chen and said, congratulations on becoming the host of the next tea gathering. I hope that we can develop this tea gathering into a whole continent-style tea gathering, and let all of the young warriors of this continent come and join our southern regions. The martial tea gathering hadn't been around for a long time. The biggest wish of the founder of the first generation was for the martial tea gathering to spread across the continent. Every time it passed, they would carry on the dream of the founder and contribute to the martial tea gathering, contributing their own strength. Yi Chen could feel Li Xiaoyun's sincerity, so he nodded seriously. Yi Chen, you are not in a hurry to leave, right? The 4 of us can talk more. The one who spoke was Jing Aoshuan. She admired Yi Chen's battling techniques very much. Among the 4, Yi Chen could be considered a master in battle techniques, and it would be beneficial for everyone to talk. Of course, she could also tell that Yi Chen had also comprehended the thunder mentality, and she herself was about to comprehend the thunder profound. Yi Chen said, sure, I'm fine. The development of the world required communication, and so did the improvement of one's power. Without communication, there would be no improvement. Building a car behind closed doors was not a very positive way. Chu Zhongtian originally wanted to leave, but after hearing Jing Aoshuan's suggestion, he hesitated a bit and decided not to leave. He was not afraid of not making any progress, but he was afraid that after he left, the 3 of them would make even more progress. If that was the case, he might as well join in. He wanted to see what kind of insights Yi Chen had on battling techniques. Chapter 472. After the tea gathering, Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng returned to the restaurant. Inside the restaurant's lobby, the 2 were enjoying their morning tea. Yi Chen saw that Murong Qingcheng was absent-minded and kept looking in the northwest direction, so he could not help but ask curiously, what's wrong with you? Murong Qingcheng brushed her hair and shook her head, nothing. Yi Chen knew that she did not want to talk about it, so there should be some hidden trouble. Moreover, he had noticed that ever since they met in the extreme yin place, he had noticed that Murong Qingcheng had changed a lot. That kind of change could not be described with words, as if even her essence had changed. Martial tea gathering. Yi Chen. Master level sword intent. On this day, the Thunder City was quite popular. Whether it was in restaurants, tea houses, streets, or alleys, these 3 keywords could be heard everywhere. The most common scene was, did you know that this year's tea gathering had a huge upset? An unknown young sword artist had beaten the astral spirit son Chu Zhongtian and tied with the edict Prince Li Xiaoyun, becoming the host of the next tea gathering. His name is Yi Chen. Of course I know. How could I not know? This news has spread like wildfire. Even that little brat from the Wang family knows that Yi Chen is very powerful, and wants to take him as his teacher and learn sword arts. This is nothing. I heard that a rank 5 martial school has come to recruit Yi Chen. Rank 5 martial school? Oh my, that is a martial school with a life and death realm warrior. Yi Chen should be able to join, right? Within one day, the people who had not heard of Yi Chen in Thunder City were only ignorant kids. Within 3 days, every city within 10,000 miles of Thunder City knew about the result of this tea gathering. If nothing unexpected happened, Yi Chen's name would spread throughout the entire Thunder region in 1 month, and within 3 months, Yi Chen's name would spread throughout the entire southern region. He was only in his 20s, but he had already attained the master-level sword intent. It was impossible for him not to cause a sensation. In the past couple of days, there had indeed been some masters from rank 5 martial institutions who had come looking for Yi Chen, wanting him to join their martial institutions. They had also promised him the head disciple status, which would give him as many profound sense martial arts as he wanted, and the chance to receive guidance from life and death realm warriors from time to time. Of course, the condition was that he had to be loyal enough. Yi Chen politely declined. What a joke. If he chose to join these 5th-grade sects, he might as well join the Dragon God Celestial Palace. After all, the Palace Master was one of the peak kings under Shu King. Not to mention, Shu Jing was still in the palace. However, these people did not give up. They were prepared to return to the sect and discuss the plan to recruit Yi Chen. If necessary, they could ask the Patriarch to help. They believed that the Patriarch would not give up on such a terrifying genius. Yi Chen was someone who had raised his sword will to master level in his 20s. If they missed this opportunity, they might not get another one. The splendid garden occupied an area of 800 hectares and had many gardens. The mountain and water garden was filled with lakes and mountains. In the middle of the lake, there was a small island, on which was an elegant pavilion. On the highest floor of the pavilion, Yi Chen and the other 3 were drinking tea. Besides the pillars around, there were no walls blocking their view. Therefore, they could easily see the beautiful scenery outside. Great place. Yi Chen could tell that the mountain and water garden had a profound theme. In this place, it would be easy to calm down and enjoy the tea. Li Xiaoyun laughed and said, Yi Chen, these days, there should be a lot of rank 5 martial institutions trying to recruit you, right? No wonder. You are not a disciple of a rank 5 martial institution, and you have such a great talent. If you are recruited into the martial institutions, you will definitely be the pillar of the martial institutions in the future. You might even be able to bring the martial institutions to another peak. Among the 4 present, besides Yi Chen, the other 3 all had life and death realm warriors behind them. Therefore, they did not need to worry about these things. Yi Chen smiled. When those rank 5 martial institutions found out that someone from the Sky Cloud Martial School had been taken in as a disciple by the Dragon King, they would definitely not disturb him. After all, few people would believe that the Dragon King would give up on a genius like him, unless he had some ulterior motives. The 4 of them were the top martial geniuses of the southern regions, and had the hope of entering the life and death realm in the future. Therefore, they did not dare to look down on each other. Before they spoke, they would have to think twice. Jing Aoshuan glanced at Chu Zhongtian, who had a deep look in his eyes, and said, the true spirit continent is facing a peak era every 100,000 years or even longer. We are indeed unparalleled in the southern regions, standing at the peak. But, we cannot be short-sighted and be satisfied with the current situation. It would be best if we could communicate with each other. Li Xiaoyun nodded. Princess Jing is right. There are more martial geniuses out there than we can imagine. Inside the southern region, we are competitors. Once we are out there, we will be allies as well. It would be unreasonable for us to not communicate with each other. This time, even Chu Zhongtian did not refute. He knew that Jing Aoshuan and Li Xiaoyun were speaking the truth. He was arrogant, but not to the extent of being the number 1 in the world. In the peak era, he was not the only one with the evil spirit body. There were even more abnormal talents than the evil spirit body. Yi Chen, I might not be able to help you in other areas, but in terms of thunder mentality, I believe that no one in the young generation of the southern regions can compare to me. As the host, Jing Aoshuan knew that she had to take the lead. Otherwise, the other 3 would not volunteer and reveal their experiences. After saying that, she stood up and lightly touched the floor. Her body flew out of the pavilion and landed on the misty surface of the lake. It was a picturesque scene. Reaching out her jade-like right hand, Jing Aoxuan slowly activated her Jin Yuan and Thunder mentality, giving people a clear feeling of being able to see everything clearly. Yi Chen took a deep breath, staring at Jing Aoxuan's right hand without blinking. Swoosh! Lightning bolts shot out from Jing Aoxuan's right hand. What a profound Thunder mentality! It was not hard for Yi Chen to tell that she was imagining the birth and death of the thunder. Only she would be able to express the Thunder mentality in a more vivid way, which would spark up a lot of inspiration in his mind. He would be able to comprehend it at any moment. Retracting her hand, Jing Aoxuan floated into the pavilion and sat down gracefully. Haha, I can't take advantage of you. My right hand has the star power sealed, which might be helpful to you in the future. Li Xiaoyun laughed as he flew out of the pavilion as well. Hearing him, not only Jing Aoxuan and Chu Zhongtian, even Yi Chen's eyes brightened up. The starry sky was the most mysterious place in the universe. The third of the three heavens, the top sky, was a starry sky. Even life and death realm warriors needed to learn the profound of the starry sky, not to mention them. Only when humans reached the starry sky would they realize how small they were. The star power was very mysterious, seeming to have some kind of weak connection with the stars in the sky. With this weak connection, Li Xiaoyun was able to learn the starry sky mentality and become the #1 warrior among the young generation in the southern regions, and now one of the top 4. The stars are the best place to learn the profound. Jing Aoxuan had the most enlightenment, since her Thunder mentality was only one step away from the profound. So, she knew how the starry sky could help her train. What do you think? This is my ace. Li Xiaoyun flew back with a bright face. Yi Chen laughed and said, since you two are so generous, I can't be stingy either. I will perform a sword art for you guys to see. This sword art is not just a simple sword art, but my personal experience in sword arts. I think it will not disappoint you guys. Oh, let's wait and see. Jing Aoxuan was curious as to what kind of sword art Yi Chen was going to perform. But, judging from Yi Chen's personality, he would not use something simple to fool them. There must be something special about it. Since many Daos were related to martial arts, including sword arts, they were not afraid that they could not see anything. On the sparkling lake surface, Yi Chen in his blue robes drifted with the waves. Taking a deep breath, he slightly closed his eyes. The second he opened them, he moved his right hand and took out the destruction sword. Shoo, 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 shoo. The sword light spread out, and the sword chi was extremely sharp. A wave of murderous aura filled the air. This was a killing sword art that pointed directly to the source of killing. In this sword art, you could see the purest meaning of killing. It gave up on impulsiveness, and all that was left was killing. Killing was one of the sources of human evolution. If there was conflict, there would be killing. If there was a martial world, then there would be killing. It was something that existed all the time. Therefore, fighting techniques were included in it as well. Yi Chen sure is generous. Li Xiaoyun mumbled. None of them were idiots. They were all top geniuses. How could they not know that Yi Chen was indirectly revealing the source of his techniques? Without a doubt, if one knew how to kill, then one would know how to fight. This kind of fighting technique would not have any détours, nor would it have any bad habits. It was just the simplest way of fighting. After finishing the sword art, Yi Chen returned to the pavilion. Everyone, how was it? Jing Aoxuan laughed. It is only a sword art, but it has already let me know what I am lacking in battling, and what I do not need. Amazing. Yi Chen, you're my friend for sure. Li Xiaoyun knew that Yi Chen could have described the fighting techniques from other simple aspects, but he just had to reveal the source of his techniques, allowing them to have a deeper understanding. Moreover, this understanding was not just a short period of time, but a long period of time. After every battle, they would be able to digest a bit of it, and the importance of it was self-evident. When the three's gazes fell on Chu Zhongtian's face, Chu Zhongtian curled his lips. He had to admit that he had also gained a lot of experience from this killing sword art. He also knew where many of his problems were. He had always thought that his astral essence was strong enough, and that he was at the peak in all aspects. Therefore, he had neglected his techniques. Now, he understood that in fact, Qualities existed for the sake of techniques. Of course, techniques also existed for the sake of oneself. I don't have anything else but astral essence thread. After saying that, Chu Zhongtian flew out of the pavilion. Li Xiaoyun said meaningfully, astral essence threads, this is his ace in the hole. Jin Yuan and astral essence were both energies, and energies were not rigid or unchanging. Among everyone here, only Chu Zhongtian could turn his astral essence into threads, which would increase his attacking power. From the tea gathering, it could be seen that Chu Zhongtian's achievement in astral essence threads was still not high. Otherwise, the result would be uncertain. Now that he had revealed this ability, it could be seen that he was an honest person. Sigh. Dark red threads of qi rose from Chu Zhongtian's body. He punched out, and everything in front of him turned into nothingness, as if it had been sliced by countless threads. Because Chu Zhongtian had intentionally slowed down his speed, the three of them could clearly see how he had turned his astral essence into threads of energy, and how those threads of energy had exploded out. This speed had been slowed down by 100 times. Swish. Returning to the pavilion, Chu Zhongtian said to Yi Chen, I don't want to take advantage of you. This astral essence threads is my way of repaying you. Hearing this, Yi Chen smiled. In the northwest horizon, a deep black space crack had appeared out of nowhere. The two ends of the space crack were sharp, and the middle was thick. It looked like an open black eye, and there was nothing but chaos inside. At the same time, the flow of heaven and earth's yuan qi increased, rushing towards that direction. The four were extremely sensitive to heaven and earth's yuan qi, so they immediately discovered the abnormality. Their gazes passed through the countless buildings, landing on that black crack in the distance. Chapter 473. This is a space crack. Yi Chen's heart skipped a beat. The void-shattering finger needed the space mentality and profound to activate, and the space mentality needed to observe the power of space to comprehend. Although the power of space above the space crack was not as powerful as in the depths of the void, it was not to be underestimated either. Jing Aoshuan's brows twitched. It is indeed a space crack. Let's go take a look. Everyone was curious, especially about the unknown. The four used their movement arts and flew toward the black crack in the northwest. The black crack was huge, as if the sky had been torn open. All the experts within 100,000 li radius could feel the strange space ripple. Some hesitated, but didn't make a move. Some couldn't hold back their curiosity and flew toward the source of the ripple. All of a sudden, people rushed over from all directions. The space crack seemed to be not far from Thunder City, but it was actually outside of the city. It was more than 10,000 li away. It was only because of the mysterious power of space that it didn't seem that far. So many people. By the time the four arrived near the space crack, the place was already packed with people. Low voices of discussion gathered together, as if there were hundreds of thousands of bees flying around. Yi Chen raised his head and saw a black crack hanging in the air. The scale of this crack was astonishing. It was more than 10 li long and a few li high. Not only was the crack filled with pure space power, it also had a frightening black qi. The space power is very pure, but this black qi is not simple. Not only is it faintly restraining Jin Yuan, it is also guarding against mental power and soul power. For astral reaching experts, when encountering something unknown, they would definitely use their mental power to probe before daring to make a move. Yi Chen had one more choice than them, which was to use his soul power. However, his soul power could only penetrate a few li deep. It was pitch black inside, and there was a black qi everywhere. He couldn't find anything. Right next to him, Li Xiaoyun said, the surreal space would not shatter for no reason. This space crack is dozens of miles long, and if it was caused by the surreal space shattering, then everything within thousands of miles would be destroyed and turned into an abyss. But, this space crack appeared without a sound, and it did not cause any effect. Therefore, this space crack has nothing to do with the surreal space shattering. Jing Aoshuan added, it must be a plane hidden in the depths of the void that collapsed and connected to our world. Plane collapse. Yi Chen frowned. There were two ways to form a plane. One was to split space, and the other was to use the power of space to create a plane. If a plane collapsed, the chaotic power of space would naturally tear through the void, creating spatial cracks of different sizes. Show. A lot of Sea of Soul Realm experts had arrived, standing on the nearby mountains. Such a large spatial rift shouldn't have been formed by the collapse of the void. This is definitely a plane that is about to collapse. Plane. Only ancient human experts could create planes out of thin air. There might be something good inside. Do not be blinded by greed. Besides the ones that we already know about and can enter at will, who would dare to enter a strange place? Not to mention the risks of this place, just the fact that it is collapsing is already something that we have to watch out for. Once the whole place collapses, not to mention you and me, even master-level Sea of Souls realm warriors would be torn into pieces by the aggressive space power. It would be impossible to survive. I am just saying. Without 90% confidence, I would not take the risk. As time went on, more and more Sea of Souls realm warriors arrived. Some of them were lone travelers, while others were in groups of 3 to 5. They kept using their soul power to scan the deeper part of the space crack, hoping to find something. Hey! Something is coming out from the deep part of the crack. Some of the Sea of Souls realm warriors had their eyes shining as they stared at the space crack in the sky. The crack was pitch black, filled with space power. A spot of light gradually expanded until it was barely visible to the naked eye. It was traveling at an extremely fast speed. Shoo! A dazzling light blossomed, and a red ruler covered with ancient patterns shot out, splitting the nearest mountain in half. Everyone's eyes lit up when they sensed the powerful fluctuations from the treasured weapon. It is a top-rank attacking weapon. Go get it! Someone yelled, waking the others up. They all jumped over with greedy expressions, trying to fight for the ownership of the red ruler. The area around the space crack was completely messed up. Yi Chen shook his head, not moving at all. Li Xiaoyun and Jing Aoshuan did not join in either, since a top-rank attacking weapon was not worth their time at all. Chu Zhongtian made a face, reckless. Top-rank attacking weapons were indeed great. An extreme astral-reaching realm warrior would become invincible among the astral-reaching realm warriors with a top-rank attacking weapon. A normal Sea of Souls realm warrior would be able to increase his power to another level as well. But everything had to be supported by power. Without power, it would be suicide. Just as expected, the astral-reaching realm warriors who joined in the fight did not even have the time to be excited before they were killed by the Sea of Souls realm warriors. Once the death count reached a certain number, the other astral-reaching realm warriors who were half a step slower finally realized what was going on and started to back out. The top-rank weapon was like a hot potato for them. Whoever got it would die, and the Sea of Souls realm warriors would be the main characters. Boom. 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 There were a lot of Sea of Souls realm warriors who did not have top-rank weapons. They all rushed over with bloodshot eyes, killing whoever was in their way. In the end, the one who got the red ruler was a spirit realm warrior called Redwood Man. His power was one of the top among all the Sea of Souls realm warriors, and his attacking speed was extremely fast. Plus, he had a couple of friends protecting him, which was how he managed to get the red ruler. Redwood, what do you think of this ruler? One of Redwood Man's friends asked curiously. Haha. This is a great weapon from the ancient era. Its power is one level higher than other weapons of the same rank. Plus, its element matches perfectly with my profound sense. With it, my battling power will increase by at least 20%. Redwood Man imprinted his soul mark on the ruler as he said happily. The few of them were shocked. Redwood Man already had a top-rank attacking weapon, so it should not have any flaws. They did not expect that this ancient weapon would be able to increase his battling power by another 20%. The gap between the two was not small at all. You guys don't have to worry. My old top-rank attacking weapon is yours now. As for how to split it, you guys decide. Redwood Man seemed to know how to behave, throwing his attacking weapon to his friends. Around them, some of the Sea of Souls realm warriors who had been eyeing the red ruler were staring at it. It was not that they did not know how precious it was. It was a great weapon from the ancient era, and even the worst one would be better than the current ones. It was a well-known fact. If it were not for the fact that Redwood Man was powerful enough, they would have attacked already. Another prized artifact has appeared. Right then, another brown-colored iron stick shot out from the space crack. Just like the Red Ruler, it was also a top-rank attacking weapon. With the experience from last time, there were even more Sea of Souls Realm warriors participating this time, especially those who were very powerful but did not have a good weapon. Boom! A huge palm landed on the ground, blowing away at least 10 Sea of Souls Realm warriors. The iron stick landed in the hands of a middle-aged man in yellow robes. It is a master-level Sea of Souls Realm warrior. Everyone was shocked as they tried to keep their distance. There was a difference of one level between a spirit being and a true spirit being, and another level between a great master and a true spirit being. A normal great master could easily kill a true spirit being even if he didn't have a great treasure. The middle-aged man in yellow held the brown iron stick and waved it around a couple of times. The mountains nearby were immediately shattered into pieces, and the power chi spread everywhere. Hee hee. Not bad. Ancient things are indeed good. The space crack was like a treasure vault with holes, with 1 or 2 weapons flying out from time to time. Among the 10 of them, at least 7 of them were top-rank ones, and 2 or 3 of them were defensive ones. Most of the Sea of Souls Realm warriors did not care much about the attacking ones, but once the top-rank defensive ones appeared, the scene could only be described as crazy. Under normal circumstances, a defensive artifact was worth 2 offensive artifacts. Especially the higher the grade, the more valuable the defensive artifact would be. Who wouldn't want their own defense to be a bit stronger? That way, they would be able to protect themselves a bit more. The middle-aged man in yellow still wanted to get his hands on the top-rank defensive weapon that had just flown out. But, he was unlucky, as a master-level warrior who had the same power as him had appeared. The two battled fiercely, neither of them willing to give in to the other. In the end, the defensive weapon was taken by the other master-level warrior. Damn. So unlucky. The middle-aged man in yellow had a complicated expression on his face. Oh my god. What kind of rank is it this time? The vibration is so intense. Even the space power has backed away from it. Amidst the rumbling sounds, an axe the size of a small mountain flew out. This axe emitted astonishing fluctuations, and the spatial crack seemed to be pushed open a little. The black aura dissipated, and in the end, the axe flickered with a dazzling light, smashed dozens of mountains into pieces, and split open a deep abyss in the ground, sinking deep into the earth. Feeling unsteady on his feet, Yi Chen exclaimed, "This is an extreme rank weapon." Extreme rank weapons had the title of king-level weapons, because only life and death realm warriors could bring out their full power. In the hands of Sea of Souls realm warriors, they would be able to suck out all of their Jin Yuan in 2 or 3 attacks. Although there seemed to be only 1 rank between the two, the difference was not just 1 or 2 times, but more than 10 times. Extreme rank weapons were like the status of life and death realm warriors among the warriors. They were the kings of all weapons, and their power was immeasurable. Surprisingly, no one tried to fight for that hill-sized axe. They would at most stand on the edge of the abyss and look down, not daring to do anything. Back off. This axe belongs to the leader of our Shining Martial School, the Shining King. Are you kidding me? It belongs to the Beast King. Huh. This place is the closest to the Thunder City. The axe should belong to our Black Thunder King no matter what. Let's not bring trouble to our martial school. Besides life and death realm warriors, no one would dare to touch the extreme rank weapons. It was just like how astral reaching realm warriors would not dare to take out their top rank weapons. No, it was 10 times more serious than that. The extreme rank weapons were like a taboo that had to be taken out by life and death realm warriors themselves. This place is going to be messed up soon. Yi Chen did not know where the life and death realm warriors of the Thunder City had gone, but without a doubt, once they showed up, they would definitely try to take the axe. The other life and death realm warriors would not just stand by and watch. They would definitely fight for it. Chapter 474. After shooting out the extreme rank axe, the space crack no longer shot out anything. Instead, it started to close up and shrink as if it was a wound that was about to be healed. Not good. The crack is about to close up. Within this short period of time, it had shot out 4 mid-rank weapons, 8 top-rank weapons, and 1 extreme-rank weapon. This is a super treasure trove. If we can't go in and have a look, it would be a great regret. Who dares to go in? If it were before, perhaps we could give it a try. But now, the crack is about to close up. Even if we go in, we won't be able to get out. Everyone had a regretful look on their faces as they watched the crack get smaller and smaller. Hey! It is not closing up, but turning into a space door. A door that leads to the inside. Most of the people were overjoyed, feeling that this was a great opportunity. If they didn't go in, they would be letting themselves down. Yi Chen had a deep look in his eyes as he studied the door carefully. The door in the air was 6 meters wide and 12 meters tall. Its surface was slightly transparent, like a pure crystal. Under the sunlight, it reflected a colorful light. There was a tunnel inside the door, and the walls were transparent as well. However, the surface of the wall was covered with a thin layer of black qi, which was still quite shocking to look at. At the end of the tunnel was a thin layer, and no one knew how far it was. This is a rare opportunity. We have to go in. Someone flew toward the space door and landed inside within a blink of an eye, completely unharmed. Seeing that he was safe and sound, everyone became even more impatient, afraid that if they were late, they would be robbed by others. Soon, more than half of the people had entered the tunnel, and the ones at the front were already close to the thin layer. Should we go in? Li Xiaoyun was a bit hesitant. His instinct told him that it would be very dangerous inside, and he could die at any moment. Jing Aoshuan said, "Let's wait a bit longer. Those Sea of Souls realm warriors have not moved yet." Yi Chen nodded. Forbidden places were not scary at all. What was scary was this kind of place that did not exist in the main world. It was easy to get in, but hard to get out, since they did not have the power to break through the surreal space. Glancing over at the crowd, Yi Chen's expression froze. Murong. Among the crowd, a lady with a veil over her face and a purple dress entered the space door without hesitation. She did not even look back once. "Everyone, I will go first." Clasping his fist, Yi Chen raised his speed to the limit and chased after Zhongxian. Chu Zhongtian sneered, "Femme fatale." Li Xiaoyun said, "Brother Chu, feelings don't necessarily hinder the progress of martial arts. Since they exist, there must be a reason for them to exist." Chu Zhongtian curled his lips. He only needed women who were obedient to him and attached themselves to him. He didn't need any troublesome women. Yi Chen didn't think too much about it. He acted according to his heart. If he wanted to go, he went. When he entered the space gate, he could no longer see Murong Qingcheng's figure. He spread out his soul power and sensed that Murong Qingcheng was 3 to 4 miles away from him. There were hundreds of people between them. Exhaling a mouthful of turbid air, Yi Chen sized up the passage. The passageway was formed from the power of space, and without the berserk and chaotic power of space, it was extremely stable and indestructible. What is going on with this black qi? Yi Chen realized that the black qi seemed to have its own intelligence. It was struggling with all its might, as if it was trying to escape. Especially when someone passed by, that kind of struggle would become more and more intense. I should be careful. Subconsciously, Yi Chen walked in the middle of the passageway, trying to keep as far away from the black qi as possible. Ah! All of a sudden, a scream was heard from the front. It turned out to be an astral-reaching realm warrior who wanted to surpass the people in front of him. But unexpectedly, the black qi suddenly expanded and sucked him dry, leaving only a layer of grey skin. Even his bones seemed to have been shattered. Don't get close to the wall. The black qi is weird. Everyone was shocked and tried their best to move closer to the center. It would have been fine if they didn't pay attention before, but once they realized that the black qi could kill people, it would be a huge disaster. In the crowd, people would be knocked onto the wall and die instantly. Only after the number of people decreased did the chaos calm down. I knew it. Yi Chen's pupils shrank a little, but he had to keep moving forward. No matter how long the passageway was, there would be an end. In front of Yi Chen was a twisted thin layer, and everyone in front of him had disappeared into it. Taking a step forward, Yi Chen disappeared into it. Outside of the door, There were less than 100 people left. Half of them were powerful warriors from rank 5 martial institutions, and they were still fighting over the ownership of the axe. It seems like there is no problem with the door. It will not collapse anytime soon. If we don't go in now, we will not get the good stuff anymore. A spirit warrior said. Indeed. There must be danger in there. But, as long as the place does not collapse, it would be no different from a normal forbidden place. Let's go. Let's go. All of the Sea of Souls realm warriors who had been holding back until now started to fly toward the door. Princess, come with us. Xiaoyun, over here. Zhongtian, let's hurry up. Among the rank 5 martial institutions in the Thunder City were Jing Aoshuan, Li Xiaoyun, and Chu Zhongtian's martial institutions. Under the lead of an inner master, the three of them also flew toward the door. Of course, the 3 rank 5 martial institutions each left half of their warriors to guard the axe. All of a sudden, there were only a few rank 5 martial institutions left in the huge place. This was a boundless savage battlefield. Corpses were piled up on the battlefield, and ravines were everywhere. Occasionally, a black aura would turn into a gale and sweep down, accompanied by the wails of ghosts and howls of wolves. Very high up, there was a layer of black sky. The sky was chaotic, suffused with grey and blood. Battlefield. Yi Chen was shocked. He had thought of all kinds of scenes, but he had never thought of this plain as a battlefield. Plus, this battlefield was way too big. Standing on the high ground, he could not see the end of it at all. All he could see was a desolate and savage chi. Crack. A crisp sound came from under his feet. Yi Chen lowered his head. It was a huge finger bone that had been crushed. Looking at it, it was about 1 meter long and 6 inches thick. It looked like a human's finger bone. Unfortunately, there was no human that was this tall. If a finger bone was more than 1 meter long, then the person would be at least 10 meters tall. Without looking at the finger bone, Yi Chen looked around and said with a bitter smile, "It seems like the membrane will arrange the teleportation point according to the time of entry. This is a bit troublesome. Forget it. Since I am already here, I will just take it one step at a time. I think the others will not give up on entering the door." Crushing the finger bone under his feet, Yi Chen walked down the high ground step by step. There were all kinds of skeletons on the battlefield. Some belonged to humans, some belonged to demonic beasts, and some belonged to giant humans. No, after walking for a while, Yi Chen realized that these giant humans should not be called humans at all, because they had horns on their skulls, and some of them even had wings on their backs. What kind of battle could cause so many creatures to die? Could it be that the ancient times needed to fight all the time, and even created a realm for them to fight? Yi Chen did not really understand what had happened in the ancient times. He only knew that there were more races in the ancient times than there were now. Some of the corpses, even after hundreds of thousands of years, they still had some residual power. Unfortunately, they were too fragile. Woo! Attracted by the blood chi on Yi Chen's body, a black wind came down from the sky. "I cannot let this black chi catch me." Yi Chen was shocked. He hurried to perform his movement art and jumped thousands of meters away. The black wind chased after him. Luckily, Yi Chen was fast enough, and he easily left it behind. When he reached a certain distance, the black wind lost its connection with him and gradually disappeared, returning to the sky. Letting out a breath, Yi Chen slowed down his steps. Tens of thousands of miles away, a purple figure was walking on the battlefield. It was Murong Qingcheng. She did not look at the corpses on the ground. As if she was being guided, she flew in a certain direction. Her speed soon broke through her limit. Woo! 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 The black wind blew across the sky, making a loud noise. However, it did not seem to be interested in Murong Qingcheng's blood chi. Only a small part of the black chi came out and attacked towards her. Shoo! A black light appeared on her body. Murong Qingcheng's speed doubled, and she instantly left the black chi behind. In her pupils, there was also a black light shining. She could easily see the scene hundreds of miles away, as if she had forgotten about the distance between them. Hee. Stay here. On the high ground nearby, a man in grey suddenly appeared. He was obviously at the Sea of Souls realm. His body flashed once, and his speed reached 10 times faster than the speed of sound. He reached out his hand to grab Murong Qingcheng, who was flying in the sky. Murong Qingcheng did not slow down at all. She formed a black light ball in her hand and attacked. Boom! With one attack, the man in grey puked out blood and backed out. How is this possible? The man in grey was shocked. Although he was only at the soul realm, he was still not someone that an astral-reaching realm warrior could compete with, not to mention beating him back with one attack and injuring him slightly. Murong Qingcheng lifted up her head and looked at the black wind, then left directly. Ah! Behind him, the grey-robed man's blood had attracted a huge amount of black wind, which covered the sky and the earth, covering a range of more than 10 miles. No matter how fast the grey-robed man was, he couldn't escape the attack of the black wind. His powerful protective Jin Yuan had protected him from being injured, but in the next moment, his face was filled with horror. Within the black qi, a black light swept over and instantly destroyed his protective Jin Yuan. With a second wave, he was sucked into a grey human skin, and his screams stopped abruptly. After walking for about half an hour, Yi Chen had not run into a single person. However, the black wind in the sky was surprisingly hard to deal with. Hey! It is an extreme rank weapon. In his line of sight, there was a huge skeleton lying on the ground. In its chest was a spear. This spear was 100 meters long and 1 meter thick. Its surface was covered in cracks. The skeleton below had 2 horns on its head and a pair of white skeletal arms under its ribs. It was obvious that it belonged to a different race. Come here. Yi Chen waved his right hand, and the cracked spear was pulled out quickly, flying over. It is indeed an extreme rank weapon. The vibration coming from it is similar to the extreme rank axe outside. Unfortunately, it is just a broken extreme rank weapon. It does not have any power. Shaking his Jin Yuan, Yi Chen threw away the spear and was about to leave. Roar! A shocking roar came from inside the skeleton, and a mass of black qi attacked towards Yi Chen. Inside the qi, there was a black light shining faintly. Destroy! Taking out the destruction sword, Yi Chen threw out a sword attack. Pooh! The black qi disappeared. Under the extremely horrifying destruction sword intent, there was no chance for it to fight back. However, the black light inside had only dimmed a little bit, and then it landed on the human skeleton nearby. The human skeleton stood up shakily, its pitch-black eye sockets shining with a black light as it threw out a punch. Chapter 475. This black light seems to have a bit of spirituality, but it is still not that smart after all. Yi Chen sneered as he held his thunder sword with his left hand, performing his double sword style. The irregular sword light cut the human skeleton into 4 pieces, and the slaughter sword intent on it even destroyed the black light without any hesitation. This human skeleton should be a life and death realm warrior when he was alive. Otherwise, he would not be able to use an extreme rank long spear to kill a huge alien race warrior. So, there should be some spirit power crystal stones inside the skeleton. His eyeballs rolled as Yi Chen threw out a punch at the 4 pieces of human skeleton. Pa! The skeleton turned into powder, and a red light spot shone faintly. Spirit power crystal stones. There are indeed them. Yi Chen looked happy as he grabbed the red light spot. There were 3 of them in total, each of them only the size of a soybean, containing a special kind of energy. The parallel space battlefield is unbelievably huge. There must be a lot of life and death realm warriors' bones here. With enough spirit power crystal stones, I might be able to train my spirit body sooner and prepare for reaching the Sea of Souls realm. The biggest difference between Sea of Souls realm warriors and astral reaching realm warriors was the difference in their bodies. No matter how powerful an astral reaching realm warrior was, his body was still a mortal body. However, the body of a Sea of Souls realm warrior was no longer a mortal body, but a spirit body. Not only was the spirit body extremely tough, it was not easy to get hurt, and could also handle even more powerful Jin Yuan. Otherwise, if an astral reaching realm warrior had the Jin Yuan of a Sea of Souls realm warrior, it would most likely shatter. Even if it did not shatter, it would not be able to operate to its limit. The reason why Chu Zhongtian's defense was so powerful was because of his evil spirit body, which trained the evil Yuan. In terms of purity, it was not weaker than the Jin Yuan of a Sea of Souls realm warrior. It was almost at the mid-Sea of Souls realm. The evil spirit body could handle the evil Yuan, so its body would naturally be extremely powerful. Even Yi Chen would not be able to injure him badly. The spirit body was hard to train, and the Sea of Souls realm was hard to train. It was a well-known fact. On the other hand, the spirit power crystal stones could allow astral-reaching realm warriors to form the spirit body faster. With the spirit body, reaching the Sea of Souls realm would not take much effort at all. As for the spirit power crystal stones, it was not that they had to be life and death realm warriors to be able to form them. The main reason was that this parallel space battlefield had existed since the ancient era. After hundreds of thousands of years, the spirit power crystal stones formed by Sea of Souls realm warriors had already disappeared. Only life and death realm warriors would be able to leave behind some spirit power crystal stones. But of course, it would not be a lot, and it would depend on luck. After looting the human skeletons, Yi Chen turned his attention to the non-humankind skeletons. Human corpses have spiritual crystals. I wonder what these alien corpses have. Pa. Under the power of Yi Chen's punch, the non-humankind skeletons turned into ashes, and a few black light spots sparkled in the ashes, shining brightly. With a swoosh, the black spots of light landed on Yi Chen's hand. They were 5 black crystals the size of a little finger. The energy contained within them was even stronger than the spirit crystals, but it was not the same kind of energy. Could these non-humankind be demons? Studying the black crystals, a horrifying thought appeared in Yi Chen's mind. The Battle King had never seen any demons in his life. Perhaps it was because there were no demons in the information he had given to Yi Chen. But the Battle King had seen the skeletons of demons in some forbidden places, and had obtained black crystals from them. These black crystals were similar to the spirit power crystal stones, and were called demon power crystal stones. Unfortunately, humans could not use them. Demons are extremely powerful. They are a race that is even more powerful than humans. It seems like the two races used to have a huge war in the ancient era. Yi Chen did not care much about it. No matter how powerful the demons were, they were already a pile of skeletons, and could not do anything to him. Right now, there was no news about demons in this true spirit continent. After obtaining the spirit power crystal stones and the demon power crystal stones, Yi Chen continued walking, wanting to see if there were any other life and death realm warrior skeletons. Haha. There are spirit power crystal stones inside these skeletons. They must be the skeletons of life and death realm warriors. There were a lot of warriors who had entered the parallel space battlefield. Besides most of the astral-reaching realm warriors who were struggling to avoid the Black Wind, the rest of the Sea of Souls realm warriors were not in any life-threatening danger. Some of the lucky ones had even found spirit power crystal stones inside the skeletons of life and death realm warriors. With enough spirit power crystal stones, my spirit body would be able to reach the next level. This is indeed a good place. Then what are we waiting for? Let's continue to search for more life and death realm warrior skeletons. This parallel space battlefield is so huge, so it would be impossible for there to be only one. There should be a lot of them. You are right. Let's not waste any more time. Let's move now before the others find us. As time went on, more and more people had found spirit power crystal stones. Of course, most of them were Sea of Souls realm warriors. Astral-reaching realm warriors had entered the parallel space battlefield, but they were still very nervous. They did not even have the time to save their own lives, not to mention the fact that it was not that easy to find life and death realm warrior skeletons. The 9th spirit power crystal stone, shattering a life and death realm warrior skeleton, Yi Chen had gotten another 2 spirit power crystal stones, making it 9 in total. Hey! There is another life and death realm warrior's skeleton 70 miles away. Yi Chen's soul power could radiate out for almost 100 miles. 70 miles to the east, there was a huge demon skeleton lying on the ground. Right next to it was a human life and death realm warrior skeleton. Besides that, there was also a 3-meter-tall human skeleton that caught Yi Chen's attention. Shoo! Flashing his body, Yi Chen flew over. Arriving at his destination, Yi Chen did not say anything as he released his fist power, shattering the 3 skeletons into powder. The red spirit power crystal stones and the black demon power crystal stones fell into the pile of ashes. What a huge spirit power crystal stones! In the ashes of the life and death realm warrior, Yi Chen found 5 spirit power stones, 3 of which were the size of soybeans, 1 of which was the size of a pinky finger, and the last one was the size of a thumb. The energy inside was so rich that it was equivalent to 5 normal-sized spirit power stones. The demon power crystal stones inside the demon skeleton did not change much. They were still the size of a pinky finger, and there were 2 of them in total. As for that 3-meter-tall human skeleton, it surprised Yi Chen, because it was not the spirit power crystal stones inside, but the demon power crystal stones. There were the same amount as the spirit power crystal stones, 5 of which were the size of a thumb and 1 of which was the size of a longan. Is this also a demon's man? Yi Chen guessed to himself. Dozens of miles away, a human figure had his eyes on Yi Chen. My luck is not bad. I can't believe I ran into a fat sheep. His power is only at peak level late astral reaching realm. It seems like this parallel space battlefield is my fortune. I have to make good use of it. The human figure sneered. Shoo. He turned into a beam of light and shot out. Someone is here. Activating his soul power at all times would consume too much energy. Therefore, normally, he would keep his alert range within 5 miles at most. This way, even if someone suddenly appeared, he would have enough time to react, adjust his state, and counterattack. The incoming person was extremely fast. Within a couple of breaths, he had already appeared 100 steps away from Yi Chen. Brat, you are not running? It seems like you are quite smart. You know that you can't outrun Sea of Souls realm warriors. That's good too. It will save me a lot of time and effort. Hand over the spirit power crystal stones and that black crystal stone. I am in a good mood, so I might let you go. It was a middle-aged man wearing a yellow battle robe. He had a strong body, sharp eyes, and a sneer on the corner of his mouth. Yi Chen stood in the middle of the ashes and said coldly, "Why should I give it to you?" Obviously, he did not expect Yi Chen's attitude to be this tough. It seemed like he did not care about him at all. In fact, he could even see a trace of disdain in Yi Chen's eyes. Boom! The ground under his feet sank a little bit. The man in yellow robes said with a creepy voice, "I was planning to leave your body intact, but it seems like there is no need for that. Die." The dark red soil exploded, and a huge blade appeared in the man's hand. It had the vibration of a top-rank great weapon, which was extremely heavy. It was like a huge mountain had been compressed into it. With the power of the mountain, the blade sliced through the sky and attacked at an extremely fast speed. Yi Chen held 3 swords with his right hand at the same time. He shook his Zhen Yuan, and the 3 swords stuck together. Taking a deep breath, Yi Chen waved out a sword. Boom! The ground shook a couple of times, and a couple of pitch-black ravines appeared on the ground. The man in yellow robes was blown backward in disbelief, a trace of blood leaking out of the corner of his mouth. What is going on? I am a soul warrior, but I cannot beat a peak-level late astral reaching realm warrior, even though he is also holding a top-rank great weapon. The man in yellow robes looked at Yi Chen with a serious expression on his face. Yi Chen looked at the long swords that were stuck together and thought to himself, Zhen Yuan strings are indeed useful. Only a normal sword attack could force back a soul warrior. The evil Yuan strings that Chu Zhongtian had revealed were indeed hard to train, but one should not forget that Yi Chen's original soul was unparalleled. Even Sea of Souls realm warriors might not be able to compete with him. Plus, this evil Yuan string or Zhen Yuan string was just a very difficult skill, not a powerful martial art. It would be much easier to learn. Therefore, right now, Yi Chen had already mastered the Zhen Yuan string ability, which would allow him to perform even more powerful attacks. Brat, you indeed have some power. But, it ends here. With a roar, the man in yellow performed his profound sense martial art, throwing out a blade attack at an extreme speed. 70%. Yi Chen's eyebrows flicked as he threw out the 9th movement of his green lotus sword art, amaranthine nature. Combined with his master-level sword intent, it was as fast as a shooting star, clashing with the blade. Pooh! A huge mouthful of blood was puked out, mixed with bits of flesh. The man in yellow was shocked to the core. Not good. I have run into a tough one. Perhaps he is a true dragon-level martial genius from the tea gathering? He had heard that a true dragon-level martial genius could compete with a soul warrior, but today was the first time he had seen one. He could not help but curse his bad luck. You can leave your life here. Yi Chen did not give the man in yellow the chance to escape. He used his body as a sword and appeared on his right side, performing his amaranthine nature once again. Forgive people when you can. You will not have a good ending if you go too far. The man in yellow robes roared as he lifted up his blade to block out the attack. Shoo! The tip of the sword was lifted up slightly. The long sword brushed past the blade and pierced through the man's neck, bringing out a long stream of hot blood. Pulling out the sword, Yi Chen said lightly, "This is your ending." The man in yellow robes had his eyes wide open as he fell onto the ground. Shoo! The storage ring on his finger was sucked into Yi Chen's hand. Without even looking, Yi Chen threw it into his own storage ring before turning to leave. A spiritualist had died just like that. Chapter 476. Corpses were piled up all over the place. Not far away, there was a dark red mountain peak that had lost its edges and was in a state of weathering. Inside the mountain, there was a spacious cave, and Yi Chen was sitting cross-legged on a huge rock in the middle of the cave. There are a lot of Sea of Souls realm warriors in the parallel space battlefield. With my current power, I might not be able to survive against spirit warriors and master-level warriors. I should try to increase my power first. Letting out a breath, Yi Chen took out the man's storage ring. There were a couple of manuals inside, but there were no top-rank Earth-realm manuals. There were 4 mid-rank weapons, hundreds of thousands of mid-rank spirit stones, and 8,000 top-rank spirit stones. Besides that, there were also 4 spirit power crystals and 3 demon power crystals. As for the top-rank blade of the man in yellow, Yi Chen had already put it into his own storage ring. 18 spirit power crystals. I wonder if I can train my spirit body to 1/3 completion. Yi Chen looked down at his opened left hand. There were 18 red crystals, one the size of a thumb, one the size of a pinky, and 16 the size of beans. Normally, the spirit power crystals inside the life and death realm warriors should be enough for Yi Chen to train his spirit body. But, after hundreds of thousands of years, not only had there been a lot of spirit power crystals, but the energy inside had also almost dissipated. It could not even compare to the bones of Sea of Souls realm warriors who had been dead for hundreds of years. Flipping his hand, there was still a bean-sized spirit power crystal left in his palm. Yi Chen closed his eyes slightly, trying his best to absorb the energy inside. As the red energy entered his body, Yi Chen could not help but moan. What a strange feeling. His body felt like it had been dry for a long time, and he was trying his best to absorb the red energy without having to control it at all. After absorbing 1 spirit power crystal, Yi Chen started on the second one. After half an hour, there was only 1 spirit power crystal left out of the 18, and the rest had all been absorbed. At the same time, a slight change had happened to Yi Chen's body. A light red halo appeared on the surface of his body, vibrating at a speed that could not be seen by naked eyes. Without any hesitation, Yi Chen continued to absorb the last thumb-sized psionic crystal. This psionic crystal contained 6 times the energy of a normal psionic crystal. The red energy was like a raging river, flowing through his arm and into his body. It began to spread, covering his entire body, even his head. The faint red halo on Yi Chen's body became several times brighter, dyeing his hair and clothes red. He was full of vitality. Another hour passed, and the red halo became fainter and fainter. In the end, it was absorbed by the body, and it was hard to notice from the outside. Opening his eyes, 2 beams of light red light shot out. Yi Chen said to himself, "It's worse than I thought. The essence of spiritual energy is almost completely gone. What's left is the thinnest spiritual energy." The most precious part of a psionic crystal was its essence. These 18 psionic crystals contained a lot of energy, but unfortunately, there were only a few strands of essence. But, I can feel that my body's power has increased a lot. Plus, I have trained the pure jade body boosting spell, so it should be equivalent to 1/3 of my spirit body. After reaching the peak level of late astral reaching realm, the physical advantage brought by the pure jade body boosting spell would not be that great anymore. It would only be a bit more power than the others. But, a little advantage was still an advantage, since the process of training the physical body was actually the same as training the spirit body. Hey! My Zhen Yuan has become lively. Training the spirit body has this effect. The lively Zhen Yuan was the best time to make a breakthrough. Yi Chen did not dare to waste any time, so he closed his eyes immediately. The Zhen Yuan in his dantian started to circulate according to the 13th realm of the Green Lotus sword spell, one round after another. He was waiting for the chance to make a breakthrough, which would be the 14th realm of the martial art. Woo! Not knowing how long had passed, the whole dark red mountain started to shake. That sharp chi spread out from the mountain peak. It even tore open a huge crack in the black chi in the sky, which did not disappear for a long time. The next second, a huge illusory green lotus wrapped the mountain peak up. The green lotus blossomed, and a sword sound could be heard continuously, as if a great sword was about to come out of its scabbard. Such a powerful sword chi. Someone is making a breakthrough. 100 miles away, 3 human figures suddenly stopped moving, looking towards the dark red mountain peak where Yi Chen was. Although the sword chi is powerful, the Zhen Yuan chi is not that powerful. Let's go check it out. Shoo, shoo, shoo. The 3 turned into beams of light, flying at an extreme speed. Soon, the 3 arrived a couple of miles away from the mountain peak, staring at that blooming illusory green lotus without blinking. Ha ha. This is the top of the top-rank Earth Realm sword spell. If I can get it and train it to the same realm, my power will double. The sword artist in dark green robes had his pupils shrunk as he laughed out loud. The elder in black next to him stroked his beard. Even top-rank Earth Realm martial arts have different levels. This is indeed a top-rank martial art. Plus, it is a sword spell trained by a sword artist. It is way better than the high-rank Earth Realm martial art you are training. The sword artist in green said with determination, I can take less of the other things, but this sword spell, I want it. You two don't have any objections, right? The bald middle-aged man grinned. It would be useless for us to take the sword spell. But, he might not have the sword spell with him. He might have already destroyed it. Then I will pry open his mouth and make him spit it out one word at a time. Anyway, it is not like I have never imprisoned warriors before. The sword artist in green smiled creepily. The 14th level of the Green Lotus sword spell is so powerful. The Zhen Yuan is so pure. Plus, the Zhen Yuan core is embedded in a green lotus seed. Yi Chen opened his body and realized that his Zhen Yuan was much purer than before, like a flowing green liquid. The biggest change was still inside his dantian. A green crystal-like lotus seed was floating in the middle, and in the center of the seed was the green egg-like Zhen Yuan core. The core was shining with a green halo, and the 9 green lotus sword chi that was rotating around the Zhen Yuan core started to merge together, gradually turning into one. The density of the sword chi increased rapidly, and eventually became a lotus seed, which was embedded in one of the many small holes on the surface of the seed. Lotus seed. Lotus seed. The 14th level of the Green Lotus sword spell had been completed. I wonder how powerful the Lotus Heart sword chi is. Yi Chen raised his head, as if he could see the scene outside. He sneered, you will see it soon. Outside the dark red mountain peak, the sword artist in green robes held his sword with both of his hands and hacked down heavily. Break. Crack. The mountain peak was split in half, and the cut was as smooth as a mirror. The second the mountain peak was split open, the sword artist in green saw Yi Chen flying up. The latter smiled at him, reached out his right hand, and flicked his finger. Shoo. The lotus seed-shaped sword chi shot out like a flat bullet. Danger. The sword artist in green robes felt his scalp go numb. He wanted to dodge, but his reaction speed was still a bit slow. The sword chi pierced through his forehead, leaving a small hole. The elder in black and the bald middle-aged man were watching from the side, waiting to see how the sword artist in green was going to kill Yi Chen. However, the result shocked them. The sword artist in green had fallen down after only one attack. That pinky-sized sword chi was unbelievably fast, and it was a one-hit kill. Looking for death. The elder in black thought that the sword artist in green was too careless, so he was enraged. He threw out a claw attack towards Yi Chen. Chin. Taking out the destruction sword, Yi Chen activated his Pura Jin Yuan and flashed once, appearing in front of the elder in black. He held the thunder sword in his left hand and attacked out with the destruction sword in his right hand. His body was split into 4 pieces, and the elder in black had died. Impossible. He is only at the peak level of late astral reaching realm. The bald middle-aged man's face was filled with astonishment, and his face contorted. Run. Without thinking, the middle-aged man performed his movement art and escaped at an extreme speed. Amaranthine nature. Putting the thunder sword and the destruction sword back into their scabbards, Yi Chen took a deep breath and stabbed out with his sword. The sword chi spilled out. Dang. Sensing the sword chi with his soul power, the middle-aged man hurried to turn around and waved his stick. Burning sparks covered his whole body. Not good. The middle-aged man could only feel his chi and blood flowing in reverse, and his internal organs being shattered. A mouthful of blood mixed with pieces of flesh spurted out, and it did not stop for a long time. By the time the middle-aged man recovered his chi and blood, Yi Chen was already 10 steps away, waving his sword down. Swoosh. The middle-aged man had died. Reaching out his hand and sucking the storage ring into his hand, Yi Chen shook his head. He thought to himself, the power of the Soul Realm warriors is not the same, and these few are too weak. I wonder what rank I would be in the Soul Realm. Yi Chen had never thought that he could compete with Spirit Realm warriors. What a joke. Spirit Realm warriors had already trained their martial arts to completion, and had even learned the profound. How could he fight against them? Not to mention one Yi Chen, even 3 or 5 of Yi Chen would not be able to compete with Spirit Realm warriors. Fighting 2 realms higher than him was not something that could be said casually. Of course, with his Green Lotus sword spell trained to its 14th realm, his body had produced a Lotus Heart sword chi. Therefore, he was not afraid of most of the Soul Realm warriors anymore. Only those who were close to the Spirit Warrior level would have to be careful, since these people were extremely powerful. Time to find Murong. Relying on his intuition, Yi Chen picked a direction and flew out. Thousands of miles in front of Yi Chen, in a sunken area, Murong Qingcheng was facing a life and death crisis. Her opponents were 2 Spirit Realm warriors. There was a huge difference in power between Spirit Realm warriors, and normal Spirit Realm warriors would not even be able to handle one attack from her. However, these 2 were definitely powerful warriors. Their martial arts were all trained to completion, and their profound martial arts had also reached 50% completion. As long as they could learn a little bit of the profound, they would be able to reach Spirit Realm. If it were not for the fact that she had finally trained her bloodline to perfection and increased her power by half, she would have been dead already. Flying Sky Assassination Cut. With a heavy wound on her back, Murong Qingcheng puked out a huge mouthful of blood. She threw out an attack at the middle-aged man in front of her. The middle-aged man did not dare to underestimate her, so he threw out a blade attack to meet her attack. Boom! The mountains around the 2 shattered, and a massive light ball exploded. Am I going to die here? Blood kept spurting out of her mouth as Murong Qingcheng revealed a self-mocking smile. The short old man who had not been doing anything said, "Don't resist. With the 2 of us working together, no Spirit Realm warrior would be able to survive. Although your power is not much weaker than ours, it is impossible for you to turn the tables. Just give up." Black light spread out on the surface of her body as Murong Qingcheng tried her best to maintain her injuries. She reached out her right hand and condensed a black light ball. The black light ball exploded and shot out in a fan shape, increasing its power. The 2 originally thought that the black light ball did not have much power, but who would have thought that the light attack actually contained a soul attack, causing their minds to become muddled. Fortunately, the power of the soul attack was limited, so the short old man immediately woke up. With an ugly expression, he said, "I almost failed miserably. I didn't think that the profound martial art you've learned actually contained a soul attack." Unfortunately, you've only learned the tip of the iceberg. Otherwise, I would have died in your hands. Blade Scar, let's kill her together. Chapter 477. There is an energy vibration up ahead. It is Murong Qingcheng battling with someone else. Hundreds of miles away, Yi Chen's speed suddenly increased as he sensed Murong Qingcheng's qi. From afar, Yi Chen could see the sunken ground. Inside the sunken ground, the short elder and the middle-aged man were attacking Murong Qingcheng together. Both of them had the power of peak-level soul warriors, but they were still at early sea of Soul's realm, which was not that powerful. Taking out his destruction sword, Yi Chen threw out a sword attack, the sword qi looking like a rainbow. Who? The short elder reacted very fast, waving his palm to block out the sword qi. But the attacking power still made him back out dozens of steps, wobbling uncontrollably. Shoo! After a couple of flashes, Yi Chen appeared right next to Murong Qingcheng. Are you okay? Seeing that Murong Qingcheng was badly wounded, Yi Chen frowned. A smile appeared on Murong Qingcheng's face as she shook her head. If you were one step too late, I would have been in trouble. Then, she coughed out another mouthful of blood, dyeing her clothes red. Brat, die. The middle-aged man held his blade with both of his hands, waving it down heavily. The blade light covered both of them, planning to kill them all at once. Yi Chen's eyes flashed as both of his swords attacked back and forth. Swoosh! The massive light ball exploded, and the depth of the crater increased from hundreds of meters to thousands of meters, looking like a deep, hemispherical pit. The middle-aged man could not handle the power of Yi Chen's attack, and his whole body was blown away for thousands of meters, cutting off half of a mountain. This brat is tricky. The short elder's pupils shrank. He knew about the middle-aged man's power. Besides some of the freakishly powerful soul warriors, almost no one would be able to compete with him. Plus, the middle-aged man had trained the earth mentality, which was known for its powerful power. Even with that, he could not handle Yi Chen's attack, which showed how hard Yi Chen was to deal with. The middle-aged man flew back, his face a bit pale. He licked his lips as he stared at Yi Chen with a serious and murderous look. The short elder said, "Blade Scar, do your best." The knife-scarred man sneered, "Don't worry, he can't hurt me. Try to recover from your injuries first. Leave them to me." Yi Chen could see that Murong Qingcheng's injuries were recovering at an extremely fast rate. This kind of recovery speed was very abnormal, but when he thought about the many secrets Murong Qingcheng had, the abnormality seemed normal. Murong Qingcheng nodded. All right. She was clear that if she didn't recover to a certain degree, she would only be a hindrance if she went up. Moreover, she was surprised to find that Yi Chen's strength had reached a whole new level. He was even stronger than when he was in the tea gathering. Kid, you alone aren't enough. The short elder heaved a sigh of relief. If it was one-on-one, he would not have the confidence to defeat Yi Chen. But if it was two-on-one, the difficulty would be reduced by several times. He was afraid that Murong Qingcheng would disregard her injured body and join hands with Yi Chen. If that happened, the outcome would be unpredictable. Yi Chen's expression didn't change. We'll know once we try. Go. Without any nonsense, the short elder and the knife-scarred man attacked Yi Chen from the left and right. One performed a palm art while the other performed a blade art. Their teamwork was perfect. Ding, ding, dang, dang. Yi Chen was not afraid at all. He held the thunder sword in his left hand and the destruction sword in his right, splitting his mind and fighting against the two alone. What? Dual sword style. After a round of attacks, the short elder could not help but exclaim in a low voice after seeing that he could not do anything to Yi Chen. Before, when Yi Chen had sent the knife-scarred man flying with his dual swords, he already had some doubts. Now, he was finally sure that Yi Chen was a rare dual sword-style sword artist, able to split his mind and attack with ease. With an ugly expression, the short elder yelled out. Both of his hands turned into ghostly fire claws as he threw out 18 palm strikes. Each palm strike contained a powerful fire mentality, exploding violently. The knife-scarred man did not dare to be careless either. His dirt-yellow heavy blade carried a dense earth mentality as he slashed out diagonally and vertically, each strike fatal. Break. With a thunderous roar, Yi Chen jumped up. The Sky Thundercut and the Reverse Sky Thundercut attacked from the left and right respectively, giving people the feeling that there were two Yi Chen overlapping on top of each other, which was extremely strange and horrifying. Pap, pap, pap. The sound of explosions never stopped. The three separated from each other from time to time and clashed together from time to time. It was a dazzling scene. Get down here. The knife-scarred man suddenly reached out his left hand. A powerful gravity covered Yi Chen, pulling him down at an extremely fast speed. Gravity. Cut without any mistakes. A piercing cold light flashed through his eyes as Yi Chen gave up on the dual sword style and combined three swords into one. One sword contained the destruction sword intent as it sliced out horizontally, forming a perfect circle. A full moon appeared, and the gravity was split in half. The knife-scarred man was shocked. Even gravity can be cut open? Who the fuck can tell me what is going on? What is going on? Idiot. Who told you to use gravity attack? The short elder had made up his mind to use all of his power to exhaust Yi Chen. He did not believe that Yi Chen would be able to keep it up. Multitasking was extremely taxing, and it was not just one or two times, but at least a few times. However, seeing the knife-scarred man use gravity attack, and Yi Chen switched from dual sword style to single sword style, he could not help but grind his teeth in anger. The knife-scarred man said impatiently, "Who the fuck knew that he could cut the gravity? What a freak. Never mind. It is good that he is not multitasking. With just one sword, he would not be our opponent." The short elder did not want to argue with the knife-scarred man, so he took the initiative to back off. Holding the top-rank longsword with three swords combined into one, Yi Chen threw out a sword attack, performing the 9th movement of the Green Lotus sword art, Amaranthine nature, towards the short elder. Not good. It is a 50% profound sense martial art. Although profound sense martial arts had different levels of power, it was very easy to tell before learning the profound sense, especially when it was at 50%, which was very close to the profound sense. The speed of the sword chi was way too fast, and it was getting faster and faster. It was already impossible to dodge it. The short elder only had time to set up a defensive layer in front of him. Pooh! The defensive layer was shattered, and the short elder's shoulder was bleeding profusely. Piss off. The knife-scarred man's attack had arrived. The 100-meter-long blade chi was like a falling jade pillar, slashing towards Yi Chen's head. Shoo! Sparks were brought up as Yi Chen waved his sword to block out the blade chi. I want you dead. Seizing the opportunity, the short elder did not care about the sword wound on his shoulder anymore. He grabbed the air with his right hand, and a huge flame hand was about to wrap around Yi Chen. Shoo! 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 Even more sparks were brought up. Yi Chen put more power into his arm, and the long sword and the blade chi brushed past each other. He then immediately cut open the huge flame hand and jumped out from the gap. All of this happened in the blink of an eye. It was so fast that it was beyond the limits of one's vision. The blade chi dimmed a little, and the knife-scarred man's blade momentum changed from a vertical chop to a horizontal chop. The blade chi followed closely behind Yi Chen, trying to cut him in half. Bang! For no reason, the blade chi was shattered. Murong Qingcheng, whose clothes were stained with blood, dashed over. Soul destruction wave. The black light ball in her left hand exploded, and a fan-shaped black shock wave spread out. Oh no! The short elder and the knife-scarred man dodged to the side at the same time. Although this black shock wave could not do anything to them, their minds would be muddled for a moment. If it were before, they would not care about it. But now, they had to deal with an extremely troublesome Yi Chen. The short elder dodged the radiation of the shockwave, but because the knife-scarred man's blade chi and blood were shaken, his reaction was a little slower. When Murong Qingcheng came over, Yi Chen's mind was sharp, and he quickly approached the two of them. Therefore, the knife-scarred man's momentary sluggishness did not escape Yi Chen's senses. He stabbed out with his top-grade long sword. Dang! That moment was too short. The knife-scarred man raised his blade to block the attack at the critical moment. His right hand that was holding the blade cracked, and blood flowed out of his 7 orifices. Reverse Sky Thunder Cut. In the eyes of others, Yi Chen's sword art was unpredictable, and it was not without reason. He held the scabbard at his waist with his left hand and slashed upwards. Scabbard. The knife-scarred man's face flashed with disbelief. Fart. The scabbard hit the knife-scarred man's chin, and the force went in. Knife scar. The short elder dodged the black shockwave, and he saw Yi Chen hit the knife-scarred man's chin with the scabbard. Then, he saw the life force in the knife-scarred man's eyes disappear, and he fell from the sky. Gritting his teeth, the short elder looked at Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng with hatred, and turned into a stream of ghostly light. Sky Demon Power Field. Murong Qingcheng's right hand reached out and pulled back, and a horrifying gravitational force appeared, pulling the short elder's body. However, Murong Qingcheng's Jin Yuan was far from the short elder's, and she could only slow him down a little, but it was enough. Turning around, Yi Chen flicked his finger at the short elder. It was the Lotus Heart Sword Qi that could recover once every half an hour. Pooh! The short elder's heart was pierced through, and he died immediately. Seeing the short elder die, Murong Qingcheng let out a sigh of relief. It had been too short, and her injuries had not fully recovered yet. She had just barely managed to do that. Putting the long sword back into the scabbard, Yi Chen flew over, frowned, and said in a low voice, "Murong, are you one of the demons?" It was no wonder that he asked this. When fighting with the short elder and the knife-scarred man, he had noticed that Murong Qingcheng used crystals to recover her injuries, and those crystals were not spirit crystals, but demon crystals, which made him suspicious. Murong Qingcheng seemed to know that Yi Chen would ask this. "You saw it?" Yi Chen nodded. "If I said I'm not, would you believe me?" Yi Chen thought about it. "Of course I would. Thank you, I am indeed not one of the demons, but I am related to the demons." Murong Qingcheng said. "You are related to the demons?" Yi Chen was even more confused. Among the information that the Battle King had given him, there was nothing about the demons, so he knew nothing about them. Murong Qingcheng continued to say, "The demon race is a race that is above the human race. However, after the ancient times, there were no traces of the demon race anymore. But, the demon race left behind a race with their bloodline. This race, I am the family that I belong to, and I have the bloodline of this family." Thinking about how low-key Murong Qingcheng used to be, Yi Chen said, "If this is a big deal, you should not say it. I will understand. Actually, it is okay to say it. Those life and death realm warriors all know about my family, and half of them are not against us living in this land. Of course, the other half wants to kill my family, and they are just waiting for the right opportunity." Murong Qingcheng laughed at herself. "My family is called the Demi-Demon family, and all of my family members have the Demi-Demon bloodline." Chapter 478. The human-demon bloodline is a hybrid bloodline of humans and demons. It has the appearance of humans and a physique close to that of demons. As for whether it is suitable to cultivate Jin Yuan or demon power, it depends on which bloodline is more suitable. If there is more human bloodline, then it is suitable to cultivate Jin Yuan. If there is more demons, then it is suitable to cultivate demon power. If there is the same amount, then both can be cultivated. This is the so-called perfect human-demon bloodline. Murong Qingcheng explained. Yi Chen pondered and said, "Why didn't I feel anything strange about you before? It seems that after meeting you in the land of extreme negative energy, you have changed." Nodding, Murong Qingcheng said, "The first generation of human demons all had the perfect human-demon bloodline. However, with the disappearance of demons, the passage of time, and the intermarriage between human demons and human demons, caused the demon's bloodline in the next generation to become less and less. Instead, there is more and more human demons' bloodline. So much so that without a secret test, it is impossible to tell whether there is demon's bloodline or not. And the lack of demon's bloodline makes our people almost no different from human demons, unless we can awaken and stimulate the demon's bloodline in our body." Then you awakened. What's the deal with refining demonic energy crystal stones? Yes. Murong Qingcheng let out a breath. In order to prevent the demon's bloodline from becoming less and less, our people adopted the rule of intermarriage within the race. Human demons must marry human demons. In this way, If the children inherit most of the demon's bloodline from their parents, the demon's bloodline in their body will be stronger than the previous generation. Of course, no matter how strong it will not be more than half. Approaching half is already very rare. After I awakened, the demon's bloodline in my body is approaching half. The planar battlefield is an opportunity, allowing my demon's bloodline to reach half, and I have the perfect human-demon bloodline. Therefore, whether it is spirit energy crystal stones or demonic energy crystal stones, I can refine and absorb them, and I chose demonic energy crystal stones. Listening to Murong Qingqing's words, Yi Chen expressed his understanding. Whether it was demons or human race, they respected the strong. No one didn't want to be stronger. Obviously, demons were a race above human race. It was normal for them to choose to refine demonic energy crystal stones. If it was him, he would do the same. Refining demonic energy crystal stones won't make me develop into demons, right? Yi Chen saw demons' bloodline at least 3 meters tall, and most of them were tens or even hundreds of meters tall. He didn't want Murong Qingqing. Murong Qingqing smiled and said, "The human-demon bloodline is the human-demon bloodline. The appearance of a human won't change, but refining the demonic energy stone will give me some of the abilities of the demons. I'll have to wait until I cultivate my demon body to know about this ability." Yi Chen had no intention of getting to the bottom of the matter, such as how Murong Qingqing came to possess the perfect demonic bloodline. The fact that Murong Qingqing was willing to tell him these things showed that she trusted him. Yi Chen opened his palm, and a dozen magical energy stones appeared in his hand. "I have no use for these. Here. This is for you too." Murong Qingqing took out all the psionic crystals. The two of them smiled at each other and exchanged glances. "When I'm with you, I feel very relaxed." Unfortunately, Murong Qingqing wanted to say something but stopped. Yi Chen sighed inwardly. "Let's talk about the future in the future. The most important thing is to grasp the present. You know that strength is the shortcut to controlling your own destiny." "Yes, you're right." The two of them did not stay for long. After leaving the hollow, they found a relatively hidden mountain peak and opened up 2 adjacent caves. Then, they began to refine the psionic crystals and magical energy stones. 1 day passed. Yi Chen's spiritual body was roughly halfway completed. Before he achieved the spiritual body, the efficiency of the psionic crystals would decrease the further he cultivated. Once he achieved the spiritual body, the effectiveness of the psionic crystals would increase again. This was related to his physique, which he did not have at the moment. As for Murong Qingqing, she did not have this problem. She had the demonic bloodline, and her physique was that of a demonic physique, which was several times stronger than a normal human's physique. However, it was also because of this that the magical energy stones she needed were several times more than a human's. So far, she had only cultivated a quarter of her demonic body. Murong Qingqing, who had cultivated a quarter of her demonic body, did not seem to have changed much. Only Yi Chen could see that her temperament was becoming more and more noble and alluring. Her skin had also become fairer, and it was hard to find any flaws with the naked eye. After refining the psionic crystals and mana crystals, the two of them spent an extra day consolidating the mana crystals to prevent unnecessary wastage. On this day, Murong Qingqing opened her eyes. A black light flashed in her pupils. She looked down and saw that she had not changed out of her blood-stained clothes. She stood up and walked to the cave wall in the corner. She pressed her palm on it. Without a sound, the mountain rock in front of her palm turned into powder, and a spherical stone room appeared. Walking into the stone room, a black ball of light naturally appeared outside her body. The black ball of light could even swallow light, and it was impossible to see through it. Her clothes fell off, and Murong Qingqing's tall and perfect body was exposed. Her black hair was like a waterfall, covering her full breasts. Her slender and smooth waist was so slim that it could be held in one hand, and when it reached the bottom, it rapidly expanded. Her snow-white and delicate skin could almost drive any man or woman crazy. Her legs were straight and took up 2/3 of her body, and they were tightly closed together. After changing into a clean purple dress, she walked out of the stone room. In her sight, Yi Chen was still refining the psionic energy. His eyes were closed, and his back was straight like a sharp sword. His shoulders were wide and his waist was slim. 3 years. I only have 3 years left of the time my family gave me. Biting her lower lip, Murong Qingcheng's eyes flashed with a complicated look. Phew. A slightly dark red aura was spat out, piercing through the mountain rock in front of him. Yi Chen slowly opened his eyes, turned his head, and made eye contact with Murong Qingcheng. There was a moment of hesitation and warmth between the two of them. Shaking off the non-existent dust on his body, Yi Chen stood up and said, "You didn't wait long, right?" "No." Murong Qingcheng shook her head. "Then let's go out." Yi Chen suddenly pulled out the long sword at his waist, and with one slash, he broke the mountain. The mountain was split open, and the light of the dimensional battlefield shone in, covering the two of them. On the 7th day of the dimensional battlefield's opening, the outside world finally became restless. Crack. The space shattered, and a middle-aged man in a dark red robe did not say anything. He waved his hand, and the extreme rank axe that was in the abyss flew out. "It is the leader. The leader is here. The extreme rank axe belongs to him." All of the masters of the Shining Martial School were overjoyed. The extreme rank weapons were 100 times more precious than the top rank ones. Any life and death realm warrior would be able to increase their battling power drastically if they had it. Meanwhile, people from the other rank 5 martial institutions frowned, feeling anxious. Hee. Shining King, what are you worrying about? The extreme rank axe is not something you can have. A sky-covering huge hand appeared out of nowhere, covering the axe. The Shining King was furious. "Beast King, how dare you?" As he spoke, he waved his arm, and a misty light cut off 3 fingers of the huge hand, pulling the axe out from the gap. "Huh. Why would I not dare?" The powerful Beast King tore open the surreal space as a godly light shot out from his eyes, shattering the light with one punch. At the same time, the hill-sized extreme rank axe lost its control and stabbed into the ground, shaking the whole place. The shockwave spread out in all directions. "It is our leader. Our leader is here as well. Haha." This time, it was the Beast School's turn to be excited. "You." The Shining King also shot out a godly light from his eyes as he stared at the Beast King. The two's eyes were not normal at all. All that could be seen was the sound of thunder exploding in the clear sky. The sky suddenly darkened, and the bright light was like a star exploding. Everyone felt like they had arrived in the starry sky, and could not see anything at all. There was only light and 2 godlike king warriors. "This is so scary. Is that the ground under my feet? How come I cannot feel the gravity and the density of the earth?" All of the warriors with cultivation lower than the Sea of Souls realm felt their legs shaking. They looked down, but they could not see the ground at all. It was pitch black and unfathomable. One of the master-level Sea of Souls realm warriors mumbled to himself, "The battle between the king warriors has already surpassed the normal battles. It is their wills that are messing with our judgment. Do not try to break through their wills. Otherwise, the attacking power will be enough to kill you." The Shining King's eyes were filled with anger that could burn through the earth. "Beast King, do you really want to compete with me? Don't forget that I was here first." "So what if you were here first? The extreme rank great weapon is hard to come by. I, the Beast King, will not let it go." The Beast King and the Shining King's bodies were both covered in the light, making it hard to see their faces clearly. Even their words carried a powerful willpower that could make any Sea of Souls realm warrior lose their mind. Boom! Just as the two were confronting each other, a wave of thunder descended from the pitch-black sky. The thunder did not disappear, shattering part of the light. A city-sized palm reached down at an extreme speed. The patterns on the palm were clear, and the nails were like blades, filled with sharp electric arcs. Black Thunder King. The Shining King and the Beast King attacked at the same time, shattering that huge hand. Pap! A blurry human figure landed on the ground, and a voice was heard, "Shining King, Beast King, this extreme rank weapon belongs to me, the Black Thunder King. It is the closest to our Thunder City. It is the king of our Thunder Empire." All of the powerful warriors in the Thunder City were extremely excited. The Black Thunder King was indeed the blood uncle of the current emperor of the Thunder Empire, who was also one of Jing Aoshuan's great-grandfathers. It was because of him that the Thunder Empire could dominate the Thunder region, becoming the #1 country and the #1 power. The Shining King sneered, "Do not talk to me about being the closest to the Thunder City. As long as it is in the Thunder region, I, the Shining King, will have the right to have a share." Hee hee. The Shining King has said what I said. Although the Beast King was afraid of the Black Thunder King, he was not afraid of him. Plus, it was a three-way battle, and none of them had the power to fight against two at the same time. Some of the warriors who had arrived on the 7th day because of something else were shocked. 3 king warriors. 3 king warriors had appeared at the same time. What kind of joke was this? Also, the battle of their wills was way too horrifying. They were hundreds of miles away from the battle site, but they were still covered by the darkness. Looking back, they could not see anything, only darkness. Even their mind power and soul power could not penetrate through the darkness, which made them very nervous. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.